Chapter 209. For some reason, even though Lin Feng was encouraging Tang San, everyone felt a little tired. His second soul ring was a 10,000-year soul ring. It was really heart-wrenching. If he didn't mention it, they would still be good friends. Now that he said it, everyone realized how weak they were. Monsters? Compared to Fenggu, they were just little brothers. But at the same time, this also motivated everyone, making them even more motivated. Originally, there were still a few people who were a little hesitant. But now 3,000 years was 3,000 years. What was there to be afraid of? Not only that, they also wanted their fourth soul ring to be 10,000 years. They wanted to catch up to Tang San in half a year and reach Feng Ji's level in a year. Although they didn't even know how strong Lin Feng was, this didn't stop them from setting Lin Feng as their goal. And before they set Lin Feng as their goal, they set a small goal, a soul ancestor with a 10,000-year soul ring. Even Dai Mubai was slightly excited and said, "I also want a 10,000-year soul ring." Lin Feng ruthlessly attacked. Xiao San has an external soul bone, and his third soul ring can absorb 3,000 years. In addition, he can only absorb 10,000 years with an immortal herb. Mubai, you only have an immortal herb, so 8,000 years is already the limit. Dai Mubai, he suddenly felt that he was a weak chicken. In any case, he was still a genius. The process of absorbing a soul ring couldn't be directly helped by others. If other soul power invaded, the soul ring would undergo a drastic change. If it was light, the soul ring's age would drop. If it was heavy, the soul ring would directly explode. Otherwise, with a healing-type soul master at the level of a titled Douluo, wouldn't those ranked 10 soul scholars be able to directly obtain a 1,000-year soul ring? The help Lin Feng was talking about was that after they absorbed the soul ring, if they were seriously injured, he would treat them and ensure that their lives wouldn't be in danger. That was why Lin Feng set such a limit. If it was any longer, they would be fatally injured and might even die in the process of absorbing the soul ring. Ha ha! Boss Dai is being looked down upon. Ma Hongjun laughed loudly. However, before he could laugh, Dai Mubai rushed over to grab him and beat him up. Everyone laughed when they saw this. Since they had confirmed the range of soul beasts that they were hunting, the group of them headed straight for the middle section of the forest. This was the only place where 10,000-year soul beasts would appear. On the surface, Lin Feng seemed to be walking with them, but in reality, he had already sent his incarnation and a few clones to search the surroundings. Under such circumstances, it would take at most a week for everyone to gather their soul rings. Everyone was very excited along the way. After all, they were about to obtain a soul ring and break through their strength. They were relatively friendly towards soul beasts. As long as it wasn't a soul beast that they needed, they would avoid them. Even if a few rash soul beasts rushed over, Lin Feng would easily beat them away. However, at this moment, Xiao Wu couldn't feel happy at all. She was even a little nervous. This was because until now, she hadn't thought of an excuse to leave by herself. Just as she was worrying, one of Lin Feng's clones rushed over with a 7,000-year dark-striped tiger. This tiger was more suitable for Dai Mubai, and Lin Feng rushed over after discovering it. There's movement. A large soul beast is coming over. Zhu Zhuqing, who was in charge of guarding, shouted from the side. Behind them, a group of people started to discuss. Flanders laughed. I just sensed it. Takechi's reaction is so sensitive. He's really worthy of being called a little monster. Looking at its soul power undulations, it's at least 6,000 years old. Furthermore, it's making quite a commotion. It should be a large soul beast. Normal soul kings can't deal with it. Should we make a move? Although Lu Erlong had heard from everyone that Lin Feng and the others were powerful, she had her doubts before seeing it with her own eyes. Now that this large soul beast was coming over, could this group of kids who weren't even soul ancestors defeat it? Zhao Wuji said casually, "This is nothing. I think that even if a 10,000-year soul beast came, Lin Feng wouldn't be afraid. I think he's already a soul ancestor and obtained another 10,000-year soul ring. However, he hasn't made a move yet, so I'm not sure. Another 10,000-year soul ring. Then according to what you said, Doesn't that mean he has 10,000-year soul rings? Even if he's a soul ancestor, he's at least a soul king. Lu Erlong said in disbelief. Is he really an auxiliary-type soul master? Yes. Flanders sighed. I remember he said that the strongest support for an auxiliary-type soul master is to solve all the enemies, troubles, and problems in the team. This is the most important support. I didn't believe it at first, but I do now. Little Feng, this fellow, is a big monster. Just as they were discussing, the 3-meter-long dark-striped tiger rushed out. Tang Xin noticed the panic in the tiger's eyes. He was slightly puzzled, but before he could observe it, Lin Feng had already smashed down with his fist. Boom! When the smoke dissipated, the dark-striped tiger was already lying on the ground. At this moment, Lin Feng turned to Dai Mubai and shouted, Mubai, come over quickly. I've knocked this soul beast out for you. This dark-striped tiger is a 7,000-year soul beast, so it's just right for you. Quickly kill it and absorb its soul ring. To be honest, everyone was dumbfounded and didn't know what was going on. They didn't even have time to make a move before everything was over. Furthermore, Dai Mubai was the most dumbfounded. In his opinion, everyone was still nervous about the arrival of the soul beast, but in the next second, the soul beast had become his soul ring. What else could Dai Mubai say? If it weren't for the last bit of stubbornness in his heart, he would have been like Oscar and shouted that Fongo was awesome. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and absorb it. Seeing that Dai Mubai was frozen in place, Lin Feng urged him. Oh, I'm coming. Dai Mubai quickly ran over and killed the dark-striped tiger. The master came over and smiled. This dark-striped tiger is very suitable for Mubai. It's the same as his martial soul, and its age is also suitable. Looking at the tiger stripes on its body, it should be 7,000 years old. After absorbing it, you'll obtain a very powerful soul skill. Boss Dai's luck is really good. He just happened to encounter a 7,000-year soul beast. Ma Hongjun sighed. This soul beast was 700 and 154 years old. After he knocked it over with a single punch, the system notified him that other than its age, he also obtained 500 experience points. Not to mention the experience points, a 7,000-year soul ring wasn't a problem for Dai Mubai. He just had to grit his teeth and absorb it. Soon, Dai Mubai killed the dark-striped tiger. After recovering his soul power, he directly absorbed the soul ring. At this point, their trip to the setting sun forest to hunt for soul rings had won the first prize. Chapter 210. Not everyone was like Lin Feng, who only needed a few seconds to absorb a soul ring. Dai Mubai needed at least 1 to 2 hours to absorb a 7,000-year soul ring. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't wait here. He said, You guys stay here and guard Mubai. I'll go catch some soul beasts for you. Feng Gu, you mean to enter the forest alone? Tang Xin asked. Flanders walked over and said, If we go any further, we'll be in the middle section of the setting sun forest. There are even 10,000-year soul beasts roaming around. It's a bit dangerous to go alone. Lin Feng wanted to say that it was fine, but after looking at Xiao Wu, Lin Feng said, How about this? We'll split up. Teacher Zhao, you stay here and watch over Mubai. I'll bring Xiao San and Xiao Wu to the right. The dean and teacher Lu will go to the left and bring the others. If we find a suitable soul beast, we'll capture it and bring it back to kill. We'll set a time limit of 1 hour. If we don't find anything in an hour, we'll come back. By then, Mubai's soul ring should be more or less absorbed. Lin Feng's plan was mainly to take care of Xiao Wu. At the same time, it was time to reveal Xiao Wu's identity to her. Also, Tang San had noticed a few days ago that this guy was able to keep his composure. His attitude towards Xiao Wu hadn't changed at all, and Lin Feng was very impressed. Feng Ge, I want to be in the same group as you, Ning Rongrong immediately said. Flanders was a bit worried about Lin Feng, but in Ning Rongrong's eyes, Lin Feng's strength was stable. He was a super monster who could kill a 10,000-year soul beast by himself. With this kind of captain, they could just sit back and wait to be led away. Feng Ge, I also want to be in the same group as you, Oscar also said from the side. Our old bones can still move. Flanders quickly coughed. None of them wanted to be in the same group as him. Where was he supposed to put his face? Lu Erlong, on the other hand, had a very clear understanding of the situation. Lin Feng was able to knock over a 7,000-year-old soul beast with a single punch. With such strength, he was probably at the level of a soul emperor. Lu Erlong was very surprised by this, but when she saw how the others acted as if it was a matter of course and recalled what they had said before, she finally accepted this fact. Lin Feng really didn't want to give up the title of a super monster. He will follow the Dean. The Dean is a rank 79 soul sage. If you follow him, you'll definitely be able to find a soul ring within an hour. As Flanders' disciple, Ma Hongjun was naturally the first to speak up for him. Even though he wanted to go to Lin Feng's side, he didn't dare to. If he went, Flanders would probably give him a good beating. To even look down on a teacher, he was really looking for a beating. Actually, the master was still a little against splitting up, but seeing how enthusiastic everyone was, he finally shut his mouth. It's inconvenient to have one more person. Lin Feng rejected. How about this, after an hour? If Xiao San and the rest find a suitable soul ring, I'll bring you guys over. Everyone nodded and agreed with Lin Feng's suggestion. Just like that, the two sides split up, leaving behind a helpless Zhao Wuji and a completely unaware Dai Mubai. Zhao Wuji also wanted to go in to lead the students, but Lin Feng's allocation was very reasonable. He was the weakest among the three teachers, so he should be arranged here. Lin Feng and the other two were soon 10 kilometers away from their original location. Along the way, Tang San had been thinking about how to make Lin Feng accept Xiao Wu's identity. He was a transmigrator, so after knowing Xiao Wu's identity, he didn't feel that it was unacceptable. In Tang San's heart, Lin Feng was a native of Douluo, so he was a little afraid that Lin Feng would do something irrational after knowing this. So now, Tang San had been very hesitant about whether he should speak or not. But now was a very good opportunity. The three of them were here, so it was best to talk about this matter openly. At the side, Xiao was also slightly nervous. Fengge said that they would only be out for an hour, which was too tight. Although she was very fast at generating her own soul ring, she still needed a period of time, at least about 20 minutes. How could she find an excuse in Lin Feng's hands in such a long period of time? Just as Xiao Wu and Tang Sin were thinking about it, Lin Feng had already brought the two of them to a small valley. Fengge, there shouldn't be many soul beasts in this valley. I saw that there weren't many traces of soul beast activity at the entrance of the valley. Did we go to the wrong place? Although Tang Sin was thinking, most of his attention was still on observing the situation around him. We didn't go the wrong way. There's a 10,000-year underground cave magical spider inside. Xiao San, it's your soul ring. Speaking of which, it was a coincidence. Originally, Lin Feng wanted to find a random place to talk to Xiao Wu, but as they walked, the avatar in front of them discovered this underground cave magical spider that was over 13,000 years old. It seemed that in the original work, Tang San's fourth soul ring was a 10,000-year underground cave magical spider. This one was a few thousand years stronger than the one in the original work, and just happened to be close to Tang San's limit. His luck was really unparalleled. You can even find this? Tang San had a look of surprise on his face. He opened his purple demon eyes and looked into the valley, but he didn't see anything. However, he didn't ask Lin Feng how he found out. These were his own secrets, just like his hidden weapons and cultivation methods. Fengge never asked him about these things, so Tang Sin didn't need to ask. When the time came, he would naturally tell him. Don't look, go in and kill it. Hurry up and absorb it, Lin Feng said with a smile. At this moment, Xiao Wu hurriedly said, Fengge, she wanted to find an excuse to leave for a while, but before she could finish, Lin Feng interrupted her. Go in first. It just so happens that I have something to say to you. Hearing this, Xiao Wu's heart was filled with apprehension, but she still followed him in. As if sensing her nervousness, Xiaoing jumped easily from Lin Feng's shoulder into Xiao Wu's arms. Meow! A cat's meow made Xiao Wu relax. She took a deep breath and hurriedly followed. Xiaoing sensed Xiao Wu's identity recently. Previously, he only felt an inexplicable sense of affinity with Xiao Wu, but Xiaoing didn't know the reason. When he broke through 50,000 years, he sensed that Xiao Wu's original body was a soul beast. This was a 100,000-year soul beast transformation. This choice required a lot of courage. After all, after a 100,000-year soul beast transformed into a human, its lifespan would be the same as a human's. Moreover, it was extremely weak and could be easily killed. Xiaoying admired Xiao Wu's choice very much. At the same time, he secretly made a decision in his heart. When he broke through 100,000 years in the future, he would also transform into a human, and then follow Lin Feng for the rest of his life. Lin Feng's kindness to Xiao Ying was too great. It was so great that he didn't know how to repay him. Chapter 211. Soon, the three of them arrived at the center of the small valley. The traces of the underground cave demon spider's activity were very obvious here. Not to mention Tang San, even Xiao Wu could see it. Lin Feng obviously knew where the spider was, but he didn't immediately go to catch it. He tilted his head and looked at Xiao Wu and Tang San. "Xiao San, don't you have anything to say to me?" Lin Feng smiled. What do you mean?" Tang San was stunned. "Be careful." Lin Feng didn't say anything and continued to smile at Tang San. The latter wasn't stupid and quickly realized that Lin Feng had also discovered Xiao Wu's identity. After thinking for a while, he turned to Xiao Wu. "Xiao Wu, teacher once told me that when a soul beast reaches 100,000 years, it will have two choices. The first is to continue living as a soul beast, and the second is to transform into a human and start cultivating again like us soul masters." Hearing this, Xiao Wu's entire body tensed up. She was very afraid that the two people closest to her would kill her because of this. After all, the temptation of 100,000-year soul ring and 100,000-year soul bone was the highest in the eyes of soul masters. Even if the two of them couldn't absorb the 100,000-year soul ring, absorbing the 100,000-year soul bone while they were young would be extremely beneficial to them. Xiao Wu didn't dare to imagine that scene. "I think you should be a 100,000-year soul beast that transformed into a human." When Tang San said this, Xiao Wu's hand trembled and Xiaoying was thrown off. Meow. After a cry, Xiaoying jumped onto Lin Feng's shoulder. "When did you find out?" Xiao Wu didn't explain anything and asked nervously. "Just a few days ago." Tang San took a deep breath and said, "The piercing autumn dew improved my purple demon eyes and allowed me to see through many things. Then I saw your true form." Just this? He couldn't even see through Xiao Ying's transformation technique. Yet he still had the nerve to say that he could see through many things. How embarrassing. When did Feng Ge find out? Tang San was puzzled. "Me? Probably the first day I met Xiao Wu," Lin Feng said uncertainly. "If it wasn't the first day, then it was the second day." Tang San. Xiao Wu. The two of them were dumbfounded, especially Xiao Wu. Because there were so many questions in her mind, she even forgot to be afraid. He discovered her identity as a 100,000-year soul beast, and he didn't have any thoughts? Even if he didn't know at first, after learning about soul beasts for so many years, he didn't have any thoughts at all? The two of them couldn't understand why Lin Feng didn't have any thoughts about a weak 100,000-year soul beast. It was simply too unreasonable. It was as if someone placed a 1 billion USD card in front of you. You could take it away without any problems, but you didn't take it. Why do you have such an expression? Do I look like a fool? Lin Feng said angrily. Then he reached out with both hands and knocked on their heads. Bang! Bang! Two muffled sounds rang out. This time, it was full of strength. Both of them held their heads in pain. Lin Feng continued. It's not easy for a 100,000-year soul beast to cultivate. There's no need to kill them all. Besides, Xiao Wu is just a little stupid and a little violent. Don't you like her? I like her. Tang San nodded subconsciously. It's good that you like her. I agree to this marriage. Lin Feng laughed. Tang San and Xiao Wu were stunned. Tang San felt that the topic seemed to have been suddenly changed, but from Lin Feng's attitude, he also knew that Lin Feng wouldn't do anything to Xiao Wu. He discovered Xiao Wu's identity as soon as they met. He didn't have any other thoughts for so long and had always treated her as a younger sister. What else could Tang San be worried about? Xiao Wu's heart was full of gratitude at this time, but at the same time, she was a little shy. She was shy because Lin Feng said something about her and Tang San. She was moved purely because of Lin Feng. When she was in Nodding City, she had a feeling that Lin Feng could see through her. At that time, she was very afraid of Lin Feng because of this. However, she didn't expect her intuition to be so accurate. Lin Feng had really discovered her identity. And for so many years, Lin Feng had always treated her as a younger sister and didn't do anything to her because of her identity. How could she not be moved? Fengge, thank you. Xiao Wu hugged Lin Feng like an octopus. Because of Lin Feng's words, her previous nervousness, and even all the nervousness in the past few years were swept away. Originally, she was very worried about how the three of them would deal with themselves in the future because of her identity. Now that this problem was perfectly solved, she was really relaxed. An unprecedented sense of security returned to her heart. At the side, Tang San rubbed his nose. He didn't know what to say when he saw this scene. Okay, your third brother is jealous, Lin Feng said as he patted Xiao Wu's head. The latter immediately jumped down with a red face, then turned around and hugged Tang San. At this time, Xiao Wu's excitement was no less than Ning Rongrong's when her martial soul evolved. It was just that her way of expressing it was more restrained. At this time, the underground cave magical spider seemed to have discovered Lin Feng and the others and fiercely rushed out. Then, Lin Feng rushed over. A few seconds later, Lin Feng threw the underground cave magical spider in front of Tang San with a broken leg and dying. Xiao San, quickly kill it and absorb the soul ring. There's still 50 minutes before the assembly. With your strength, you should be able to absorb this soul ring. Fengge, based on the patterns, this underground cave magical spider should be more than 13,000 years old. Can I really absorb it? Tang San swallowed his saliva and asked. A 10,000-year-strong soul beast was easily crippled by Lin Feng right under his nose. Tang San felt that Lin Feng's strength was already out of this world. If he also participated in the Continental Elite Academy tournament, he would probably be able to easily win the championship alone. It was said that the champion's reward was quite generous, and there was a chance to directly enter the upper echelons of the Martial Soul Hall. It's just a small 10,000-year soul ring. If I say you can absorb it, you can definitely absorb it. Don't talk nonsense. Don't run out of time later. After hearing Lin Feng's words, Tang San didn't hesitate. The 8 spider spears appeared on his back and easily killed it. Spider-type martial souls weren't actually the most suitable for Tang San, but they were still in the top 3 among animal-type soul beasts. His underground cave magical spider could absorb them. Soul Ring Affinity was actually only applicable to low-ranked soul masters. When one soul power rank was high, there weren't as many restrictions when it came to absorbing soul rings. As long as the soul ring didn't clash with the martial soul, it could be absorbed. At that time, the soul ring's attribute wouldn't be that important. The age was the most important. Chapter 2:12. The soul ancestor rank was actually a dividing line. Starting from the soul ancestor rank, the strength of one's martial soul would be highlighted, and the hunting range for soul rings would also be much wider. As long as one's martial soul was old enough, they would be able to hunt for soul rings. Tang San's 10,000-year soul ring gave him a very strong boost. Coupled with his external soul bone, even a soul king might not necessarily be his match. Xiao Wu, you should start condensing soul rings too. You could be together with Xiao San. I'll stand guard for you. Lin Feng said to Xiao Wu. Fengge, how do you know so much about soul beasts? You even know that we can condense soul rings. Xiao Wu felt that Lin Feng knew a lot. Didn't you go home before? You had a soul ring as soon as you went back. I was curious, so I followed you and saw you condensing a soul ring. Fengge, you actually followed me. Xiao Wu suddenly blushed and covered her face. She had specially taken a bath in the nearby forest. Fengge couldn't have seen it, right? Xiao Wu was so embarrassed that she was about to die. She stole a glance at Lin Feng and realized that his expression didn't change much. It seemed like he hadn't seen it. Fengge was so righteous. Why would he do such a thing? Xiao Wu was right. Lin Feng didn't even look at her. After she finished condensing her soul ring, Lin Feng left. What do you mean by following you? I was protecting you. What if a little rabbit was discovered? Lin Feng said without blushing. Xiao Wu's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. Feng Gu, were you the one who covered for me when we were in the Star Do Great Forest and the Heaven Do Academy? They were aware of Lin Feng's control over his soul power. Xiao Wu had been wondering why the titled battle pet warriors and the soul Douluo hadn't noticed her. Now, it seemed that Feng Gu must have been hiding her. Yeah, how is it? Are you touched? Lin Feng asked with a smile. Okay. Xiao Wu was so touched that she almost cried again. At this moment, Lin Feng's expression changed. It's fine as long as you're moved. In a while, you'll turn your emotions into strength and condense a stronger soul ring. Otherwise, if you're too weak, I'll punish you to wash my and Xiao San's clothes. Wash my clothes. Xiao Wu's face turned pale. This punishment was really unbearable for Xiao Wu. She had been punished before when she was in Nodding City. Lin Feng had made her wash her clothes with her hands and punished her for a week. It was really unbearable. Now that she was being punished again, she hurriedly said, Feng Gu, there's a limit to the number of soul rings I can condense. Normally, I can only reach the theoretical limit of a soul master. That's why this fourth soul ring can only be 5,000 years at most. Your martial soul has been strengthened by the immortal herb, and your body has been transformed. In addition to the residual medicinal power, Dai Mubai's limit is around 8,000 years. This immortal herb of yours is the strongest among all of us. Logically speaking, it should be able to condense a 10,000-year soul ring. I'll give you a target of 9,000 years. If you can reach it, then it's fine. If not, then you'll be punished to wash our clothes. Xiao Wu's physical fitness was now even stronger than Dai Mubai's. Furthermore, her previous soul rings were also the limit. Now, they were strengthened by the yearning broken red intestines, an immortal herb that was close to the divine grade. The medicinal power in her body was completely enough for her to condense a 9,000-year soul ring. If she worked hard, there was even hope for her to condense a 10,000-year soul ring. 9,000 years. Xiao Wu's mouth was wide open. Do your best. I believe you can do it. Lin Feng emitted his life force and restored Xiao Wu's condition to its peak. I'll try my best. Just like that, Xiao Wu also began to condense her soul ring. Tang Sen was absorbing the soul ring while Xiao Wu was condensing it. The two of them were separated by a distance. Lin Feng was sitting nearby and witnessing this moment. The way Xiao Wu condensed her soul ring was very interesting. The projection of her body appeared first, and then a red 100,000-year soul ring appeared. Then, as if giving birth to a son, the 100,000-year soul ring began to slowly nurture another soul ring. The color of this soul ring was white at first, then it quickly turned yellow. After a period of time, it slowly turned purple. At this time, a few minutes had already passed. In the beginning, it was still very easy to increase the age of the soul ring, but later on, when it reached 1,000 years, the speed of increase slowed down. From 1,000 years to 3,000 years, it took about 6 minutes. When it reached 5,000 years, it took another 8 minutes. According to Xiao Wu's thoughts, condensing a 5,000-year soul ring in 20 minutes was already very strong. Then, it would be fine to just remove it from the red soul ring. However, she remembered Lin Feng's words in her heart. The target was 9,000 years. Xiao Wu continued to nurture this soul ring. Later on, the increase in age slowed down a little. After 10 minutes, the soul ring had grown to 7,000 years. After another 10 minutes, the total time had reached 40 minutes. Xiao Wu's soul ring had also reached 8,500 years. Seeing this, Lin Feng was slightly surprised because he realized that Xiao Wu didn't seem to be very tired and still had a lot of energy left. It had to be said that the yearning broken sausage was really powerful. Lin Feng had eaten one previously, and it had increased his experience by more than 5 million. With the medicinal power, Xiao Wu felt that the 10,000-year soul ring was in the bag this time. With that thought, Lin Feng directly shouted, "Xiao Wu, the target has changed to 10,000 years. If you can't reach a 10,000-year soul ring, you will be punished by washing clothes." Hearing this, Xiao Wu's figure swayed and her soul ring almost fell off. Obviously, Lin Feng's punishment was very destructive to her. But soon, she stabilized her body and continued to work hard to condense her soul ring. After another 10 minutes, Xiao Wu's soul ring had already condensed to 9,800 years. Xiao Wu was also very tired and her body was a little shaky, but she still gritted her teeth and persevered. She didn't want to wash clothes. She had to break through to 10,000 years. On the other side, Tang Xin was almost done absorbing his soul ring. Both of them felt like they were going to obtain 10,000-year soul rings at the same time. Lin Feng was very interested. Both of their fourth soul rings were 10,000-year soul rings. When they participated in the Continental Soul Master Academy Elite Tournament, they would probably stupefy everyone. At this moment, 50 minutes had already passed. Including the time they took to come over, Tang San and Xiao Wu were only left with 5 minutes to 1 hour. Time passed minute by minute. After 3 minutes, Xiao Wu's soul ring seemed to have reached the limit of a 1,000-year soul ring. 9,999 years. At this moment, Xiao Wu was gritting her teeth. She was using her firm belief to attack this 10,000-year soul ring. However, after a minute, Xiao Wu realized that this 10,000-year soul ring seemed to be a qualitative change. With her current physical strength, she couldn't succeed at all. Furthermore, it was already very strenuous for her to control this 9,999-year soul ring. If she didn't conserve her strength to stabilize this soul ring, it might directly explode after falling off. Sigh, I'm still a little short of a 10,000-year soul ring. At this moment, Xiao Wu really couldn't break through to 10,000 years. She was prepared to accept the punishment of washing clothes. Just as she was about to fall off the soul ring, Tang Xin suddenly finished absorbing the soul ring. A wave of soul power rushed out. Lin Feng originally wanted to stop this attack. After all, he couldn't let Xiao Wu be affected. However, he didn't do anything. Lin Feng could see Xiao Wu's situation. If there was no external impact, she definitely wouldn't be able to condense a 10,000-year soul ring. This wave of soul power produced by Tang San's breakthrough was the same as the wave of soul power when Xiao Wu condensed her soul ring. It might have a miraculous effect. Just as he was thinking, the wave of soul power also hit Xiao Wu's body. In the next second, the martial soul phantom behind her shone brightly. The red soul ring trembled slightly. The dark purple soul ring above it seemed to have broken some kind of shackle and was completely dyed black. Xiao Wu hurriedly fell off and used all her soul power to stabilize it. After a minute, the 10,000-year soul ring was formed. Chapter 2:13. Off. Fenggo, I succeeded. Xiao Wu was so tired that she was panting, but her face was full of excitement. This was a 10,000-year soul ring. She had clearly thought that 5,000 years would be enough. She had never thought that she could reach such a high number. She didn't expect that she would really succeed. Although there was a certain degree of coincidence, the fact that she succeeded in the end still gave Xiao Wu great encouragement. Fengge had once told them that if you don't force yourself, you will never know where your limit is. Only today did Xiao Wu understand the true meaning of this sentence. Brother Feng, I've also successfully absorbed it. Tang San's face was also full of joy. This 13,000-year soul ring contained a lot of energy. If it wasn't for the immortal grass and the external soul bone that improved his physique, he wouldn't have been able to absorb it at all. Even so, it took him a lot of effort to finish absorbing it. Seeing that the two of them were very happy, Lin Feng nodded. Not bad. With a 10,000-year soul ring, your strength has increased quite a bit. Tang San's 10,000-year soul ring was very normal, but Xiao Wu's was unexpected. Lin Feng didn't expect the bottleneck to break through to the 10,000-year soul ring to be so big. Fortunately, the final result was good. Fengge, I'm rank 42, Xiao Wu said after sensing it. I feel that I can break through to rank 43 in a few days. Because Xiao Wu's soul ring was a little special, the soul ring she condensed wouldn't increase her strength. The main reason she could break through 2 ranks consecutively was because of the medicinal power that had accumulated before. The yearning broken red intestines allowed her to break through to rank 6 when she was a soul elder. Later on, she used a little to condense the soul ring, and now she was about to reach rank 43. So strong. Tang Xin also said, Feng Ge, I'm also rank 42, and the soul ring provides me with a little more energy. After stabilizing it today, I should be able to break through to rank 43. Tang Xin had just cultivated to rank 40. The main reason why he could break through now was because the 10,000-year soul ring provided too much energy. Stop showing off. An hour has passed. The 3 of us should go back quickly. Lin Feng said with a smile. Third brother, carry me. Xiao Wu jumped onto Tang San's back and acted coquettishly. Today, not only did her strength increase, but she also untied the biggest knot in her heart. Xiao Wu felt very relaxed now. Okay, I'll carry you. Tang Xin didn't refuse. Xiaoying took the opportunity to jump onto Xiao Wu's back and hitch a ride. Just like that, the 3 people and 1 cat quickly returned to the place where Dai Mubai was. Lu Erlong, Master, and the others had already returned. Seeing that they were all listless, it was obvious that they didn't gain anything. At this time, Dai Mubai was also at the final stage of absorbing the soul ring, and everyone's attention was attracted. 5 minutes later, with a tremor of soul power, Dai Mubai opened his evil eyes, and the image of a white tiger appeared on his body. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple. 4 gorgeous soul rings danced on his body, and his aura was majestic. Ha! I'm a soul ancestor now. Dai Mubai shouted happily. Everyone hurriedly went forward to congratulate him. Boss Dai is strong. You should have accumulated a lot of medicinal power before, right? What's your rank now? Ma Hongjun asked. Hearing this, Dai Mubai sensed for a moment, and then laughed even louder. I'm rank 46. This immortal herb is really amazing. It raised my rank by so much. The immortal herb was one thing, but absorbing a 7,000-year soul ring was another. If the age of the soul ring was too low, he might only be able to reach rank 45 this time. All right, have you all obtained soul rings? Absorbing soul rings was a physical exercise. When everyone left earlier, Dai Mubai had just started absorbing soul rings. At that time, he was still able to hear what the others were saying, so he knew that they had split up. Nope, soul beasts are all too good at hiding. After an hour, we found a few soul beasts, but none of them were suitable. Ning Rongrong said. Lu Erlong nodded. Although there are more soul beasts in the Setting Sun Forest than in the Star Dogray Forest, it's not that easy to find a suitable one. An hour is too short. Because the Star Dogray Forest was located at the border of 2 empires, and because it was very famous, almost all the soul masters on the continent wanted to go there to see it for themselves. Therefore, there were much fewer soul masters in the Setting Sun Forest than in the Star Dogray Forest. Correspondingly, there were more soul beasts there than in the Star Dogray Forest. Grandmaster said, soul beasts aren't that easy to find. Mubai was lucky to find one, but Xiao Feng probably didn't find one either. There are still 7 people who need soul rings, and we'll probably have to spend another half a month to find all of them. Teacher, I've already finished absorbing soul rings. Tang Xin whispered. No one had found any soul rings, but they had not only found one, but they had also finished absorbing soul rings. It was a little infuriating. Grandmaster was stunned. They had finished absorbing soul rings? This was something he never expected. It had only been an hour. Even if they encountered soul beasts as soon as they went out, it wouldn't be that fast. The others were also slightly surprised and envious at the same time. At this time, Xiao Wu also said, I've finished absorbing soul rings too. They had encountered 2 suitable soul beasts at once, and Tang San and Xiao Wu were only the 2 of them. However, they hadn't encountered any soul beasts at all. In comparison, what are your ranks now? How many years are your soul rings? Lu Erlong asked curiously. After all, Lin Feng had said that he would give Tang San a 10,000-year soul ring. It was done just like that? She still couldn't believe it. We both have 10,000-year soul rings, Tang San said truthfully. Dai Mubai was very tired. He was very happy about his 7,000-year soul ring just now, but now his excitement was gone. Wait, both of you? Grandmaster found something interesting. Xiao Wu and Tang San didn't hesitate and directly released their soul rings. Yellow, yellow, purple, black. Yellow, yellow, purple, black. 2 people, 8 soul rings, especially the 2 black 10,000-year soul rings, were really dazzling. Everyone, when Lin Feng first showed his 10,000-year soul ring, they were even more shocked than now. After all, Lin Feng's second soul ring was a 10,000-year soul ring. But the main reason was because Lin Feng's martial soul was special. According to Grandmaster, it was a very special mutated martial soul. After understanding it, they were used to Lin Feng's power. He was a genius on a different level from them, an existence that they couldn't compare to. But Tang San and Xiao Wu were different. Tang San's martial soul was similar to theirs, and now his 4th soul ring was 2 10,000-year soul rings. It really made everyone shocked and envious. Chapter 214. Fengge, didn't you say that you'll bring someone out every hour? Bring me this time. I also want a 10,000-year soul ring. Oscar said excitedly. I also want a 10,000-year soul ring. Ning Rongrong's first 4 words were still loud, but her later words were softer. She had just broken through to become a soul elder, so why would she want a 10,000-year soul ring? She really didn't know. As I said, Xiao San is a bit special, which is why he has a 10,000-year soul ring. As for Xiao Wu, it's just a coincidence. Lin Feng paused for a moment before saying, when we went out just now, we happened to meet a soul beast suitable for Xiao Wu that was breaking through to the 10,000-year level. After breaking through, Xiao Wu took advantage of the fact that it was weak and killed it. Absorbing a 10,000-year soul ring like this isn't as difficult as absorbing a true 10,000-year soul ring. That's why Xiao Wu was able to absorb it. Her luck is too good. Everyone was simply envious to death. Xiao Wu was actually learning from Lin Feng's ability to make up stories. Fengge actually came up with this kind of nonsensical story. Moreover, it was incomparably true, so everyone believed it. Thinking back to the excuses she had given before, they were really too lousy. All right, don't be envious. There are still 5 people without soul rings. It's already afternoon, so let's try to find one more soul ring before night. As for splitting up, let's talk about it tomorrow. Lin Feng still had to find Douluo to collect today's protection fee, so he didn't have time to waste here. Moreover, he had been multitasking for almost half a day. Lin Feng's spiritual power had already been depleted by more than half, so he had to use the remaining time to recover. After hearing Lin Feng's words, everyone slowly calmed down and continued to move forward slowly. However, on the way, they began to talk about their soul skills and soul power levels. There was only to talk about their soul power levels. Dai Mubai was at rank 46, while the other 2 were about to break through to rank 43. This made everyone envious. Flinder, Lu Erlong, and the others were all in a trance when they saw the shocked but normal scene in front of them. Had the times changed, there was no need to talk about a 15-year-old soul ancestor. Although he was a monster, there were still such cases in history. But wasn't a 13-year-old soul ancestor something that would be recorded in the annals of history? How come all of them were just shocked for a moment? There was also the 10,000-year soul ring. Couldn't they have talked more about it? A few minutes later, he had a normal expression on his face. This really hurt the hearts of these old fellows. However, compared to a super monster like Lin Feng, Tang San and the others couldn't be proud at all. That was why such a situation occurred. But speaking of which, this was still unacceptable. Perhaps this was the world of geniuses, and they were weaklings who didn't deserve to enter. Ignoring the teachers behind him who had different thoughts, Tang San and the others were enthusiastically discussing their new soul skills. Tang San said, "This soul skill of mine is a control-type soul skill. I call it Blue Silver Cage." With that, Tang San demonstrated it to everyone on the spot. His fourth soul ring flickered, and apart from Lin Feng, an invisible soul power fluctuation appeared from the ground beneath the feet of the other 6 people. In the next moment, countless pitch black and thick blue-silver grass suddenly gushed out from the ground around the 6 people, intersecting above their heads to form a single cage. Group control. The Grandmaster had guessed it, but seeing it with his own eyes still made him somewhat shocked. A control-type soul master would usually only have a group control effect with their 5th soul skill. However, Tang San's 4th soul ring was a 10,000-year one. This was the first time the Grandmaster had seen such a special case. He guessed that it should be a group control soul skill, but he didn't expect it to be so. Xiao San, take a look at my 4th soul skill, White Tiger Shadow Strike, break your cage. Dai Mubai laughed loudly. His martial soul possessed his body, and his 4th soul ring blossomed with a dazzling light. In the original work, Dai Mubai's 4th soul skill was something called White Tiger Meteor Fist. It was unknown what kind of soul beast he had killed, but now he had absorbed the Dark Striped Tiger's 7,000-year soul ring, and his 4th soul skill had become White Tiger Shadow Strike. This was an extremely powerful soul skill. It could condense a pair of large, shadowy fists and unleash a powerful attack. This soul skill could be said to be a single-target soul skill, but it could also be a group soul skill. It depended on how it was used. After all, the size of the fist could be controlled by the user. If the fists were small, the power would be greatly increased. If the fists were large, the power would be reduced, but the area of effect would be wider. Now that he was trying to break the blue-silver cage, he naturally couldn't reduce the power of the soul skill. Dai Mubai condensed a pair of half-meter-long dark fists and smashed them towards the cage. Bang! With a muffled sound, fine cracks instantly appeared on the cage. Dai Mubai added another punch, and the cage was directly smashed apart. Amazing! A 10,000-year soul skill is really amazing. Dai Mubai was truly convinced. He was already a rank 46 soul ancestor, but he had to use his 4th soul skill to break the cage with 2 punches. If it had been a weaker soul ancestor or a rank 30 soul elder, then there was no need to mention how they would have been able to escape. In fact, the situation was as such. Other than Xiao Wu, who had used instant shift to escape, everyone else was still trapped inside. Following that, Ma Hongjun used fire to burn the cage for more than 10 seconds. As for the others, they couldn't escape at all. Third brother's soul skill is really too amazing. Ma Hongjun sighed with emotion. If it weren't for his martial soul's restraint, he might not have been able to escape. At this moment, Lin Feng said, Xiao San, the most important thing for a control-type soul master is continuous control. After you release these cages, your soul power will be cut off. If you continue to use soul power to connect them, then when Fatty burns them with fire, you can quickly use your soul power to repair them. This way, he won't be able to escape in a short period of time. That's right. Tang San suddenly understood. Fengge is right. After these blue-silver grass lose my soul power connection, they become fixed like dead objects. If I continue to connect them with my soul power, then these cages will always be alive. I can change them at any time. Not to mention Fatty, I can even stop Boss Dai. Dai Mubai could at most attack one side of the cage. If Tang San carefully controlled it, he could transfer and repair the blue-silver grass on one side of the cage, allowing the other side to continue controlling him. Coupled with his parasitic soul skill and the poison on the blue-silver grass, he could quickly trap a powerful soul ancestor to death. It had to be said that Lin Feng had opened up Tang San's way of thinking about soul skills, making him stronger. Xiao San's soul skill is too abnormal. With his soul skill, I feel like you can fight all 6 of us by yourself. You just have to defeat us one by one. Dai Mubai sighed with emotion. I'm still far from that. Wait until you guys obtain soul rings. Then you'll definitely be stronger. I won't be able to win. Although this was what he said, Tang San was thinking in his heart. If it was 1 against 6, other than the 2 support-type soul masters, who would be the 3rd person to defeat first? Chapter 215. After Tang San and Dai Mubai had displayed their 4th soul skills, everyone turned to look at Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu smiled. My fourth soul skill is invincible. To be precise, it should be called Invincible Golden Body. Invincible? That's awesome. Ma Hongjun loved to be surprised. Xiao Wu's soul skills shouldn't be too different from the original work. After all, she had condensed them herself. Invincible? It should be invincible within a certain limit, and the duration should be extremely short. Grandmaster interrupted. Xiao Wu nodded her head and said, I don't know the limit, but the duration is really short. After the invincible golden body is activated, it can only last for 10 seconds. During this time, the strength of the user will double. In the future, the duration will increase by 1 second for every 10 levels. 10 seconds is still considered short? Grandmaster's mouth twitched slightly. This was invincible. 10 seconds was enough for Xiao Wu to withstand the attacks of a team and smash the opponent's auxiliary type, Soul Master, 3 or 4 times. As for the limit, Grandmaster guessed that there was definitely a limit. A Soul Ancestor's soul skill couldn't be truly invincible. As for how high the limit was, Grandmaster couldn't estimate it at the moment. 10 seconds isn't short. You could do a lot of things with it. Lin Feng smiled. When you participate in the Soul Master Tournament in the future, Xiao Wu's soul skill will be your trump card. Haha. Feng Ge said I'm a trump card. Xiao Wu's face was full of smiles. At this moment, the three of them had obtained soul rings and powerful new soul skills. This made everyone's hearts itch. In the following period of time, everyone was very excited and looked forward to finding suitable soul beasts. However, in the evening, they were unlucky. They found a few suitable soul beasts, but none of them were of a suitable age. All right, there's an open space in front of us. There aren't any dense forests around, so we'll set up camp here tonight. The 7 of you will take turns to keep watch. I'll go out and take a look. After speaking, Lin Feng gave a few more instructions and left. What for? Of course, it was to collect protection fees. Douluo had become completely obedient. He stayed near the ice fire Inyang well all day long. Why was it so obedient? The reason was simple. Lin Feng discovered that this experienced baby's experience bar was dropping too quickly. After 5 days, he would only get around 5 million each time. He estimated that it would drop below 1 million in half a month. Therefore, Lin Feng gave Douluo some benefits first, saying that he would help him treat his granddaughter in half a month. Because of this, Douluo's originally slightly restless heart immediately calmed down. His old life should have been gone in the first place. After all, it was his greed that had provoked Lin Feng. At this time, as long as his granddaughter's life was saved, he would not lose anything. With this thought in mind, he was very obedient. In this way, Lin Feng easily received the protection fee. After taking a bath in the ice fire Inyang well and eating some herbs, he returned to Tang San and the others. After an uneventful night, Lin Feng began to lead 2 people to hunt soul beasts the next day. Under such circumstances, their efficiency was extremely high. After 3 days, other than Oscar's soul beast, which was more difficult to find, everyone else's soul beasts had been found. After searching for half a day, Lin Feng was a little tired. He recalled his incarnations and avatars. As everyone walked, there was a sudden commotion from the east. Zhu Zhuqing said, "Someone is chasing a soul beast here." There were many soul masters who came to the setting sun forest to hunt soul beasts. In the past 3 days, they had met a few soul masters, but they naturally avoided them. However, it was different this time. Someone was chasing a soul beast in their direction. Lin Feng sensed that a 2,000-year soul beast was being chased by a soul emperor, a soul ancestor, and 2 soul elders. He didn't need to look to know that it was probably an elder or a teacher who had brought people to hunt soul beasts for soul rings. "Everyone, stay away. Don't cause a conflict," Zhao Wuji shouted. This was the most basic situation. Normally, people would choose to avoid soul beasts that were being chased in the forest. When they were in the Star Do Great Forest, the snake lady who was chasing the soul beast had lost track of it. They didn't know, so they caught the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake. Otherwise, Zhao Wuji would have chosen to avoid them. After all, It was common sense to avoid conflict between soul masters in the forest. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good for anyone if they attracted the attention of soul beasts. Everyone retreated as they were told. However, Zhu Zhuqing shouted, "That soul beast is charging towards us. We can't avoid it." Soul beasts that were being chased were the most panicked. Even if you released the soul power of a soul sage, it wouldn't have much effect on them. This soul beast was very fast. After 5 seconds of Zhu Zhuqing's warning, it scuttled out. It was a fox soul beast that was about a meter long. Its fur wasn't completely pink, but had a faint green color. It was a cyan gorgeous fox, a type of fox that was extremely fast. After it became angry, its fur would turn into a gorgeous green color. Furthermore, its speed and attack would become extremely powerful. It could be considered a fox with a rare bloodline. It looked like it was only 2,000 years old, but its strength wasn't a normal 3,000-year soul beast. Even soul ancestors weren't its match. However, it could only run in the face of the Soul Emperor's pursuit. Unfortunately, it ran towards Lin Feng and the others. This soul beast was Oscar's third soul beast. With its ability to rage, Oscar should be able to obtain a powerful soul skill. As for the problem of soul beasts not being compatible with martial souls, this was mainly for plant-type and beast-type martial souls. Normal auxiliary type and food-type martial souls wouldn't have this problem. Oscar's sausage martial soul only needed to find a soul beast with a special ability. He hadn't been able to find one before, and even if he did, it was because it wasn't of the right age. Now this one was the kind that delivered itself to his doorstep. The only downside was that it was a soul beast being chased by someone else. There might be trouble later, but who cares? The continent of Douluo was a world where the strong were respected. If he couldn't defeat the other party, he could just return. Right now, he had to snatch it first. Grandmaster, Flanders, and the others were all thinking the same thing. As an agility-type soul sage, Flanders' strength was his speed. The moment the cyan gorgeous fox appeared, he dashed over and grabbed it in his hands. The powerful soul power pressure also firmly restrained the fox, making it unable to move in the slightest. At this moment, the people who had been chasing the fox appeared in front of everyone. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. They were from the Oakland family. This was a large family in Heaven-Do City, and their patriarch was a soul master on the same level as Soul Douluo. Oakland Academy was also an advanced soul master academy in Heaven-Do City. This academy was founded by the Oakland family. Flanders also noticed this, and his brows furrowed slightly. Chapter 2:16. Although the Shrek Academy wasn't afraid of the Oakland family, it wouldn't be good if they became enemies. The Oakland family was strong, and their patriarch was a duke in the Heaven-Do Empire. The head of the family was also a count. They had a lot of power. If they were in the right, they could still fight. However, they had captured the other party's soul beast and were in the wrong. It wouldn't be good if they took the initiative to become enemies. As for silencing them, that would be their last resort. Not to mention the fact that there were children nearby. A mere 2,000-year soul beast wasn't worth their time unless there was a soul bone to be found. The Soul Emperor in front of the Oakland family was an old man in his 50s or 60s with 6 shining soul rings. Yellow, yellow, purple, 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 black. Although they weren't perfect soul rings, they were quite good. They were the same as Qin Ming's soul rings, and their auras were quite strong. I chased this old beast all the way here. I am Fong Hufeng, an elder of the Oakland family. Thank you for helping me capture it. You will receive the friendship of the Oakland family. This soul emperor was Fong Hufeng, and his martial soul was the Ironhorn Bull. He was an assault-type soul emperor. Because he wasn't very fast, he was carried by the 2,000-year sand gorgeous fox. However, he had almost caught up. Even if he hadn't met Lin Feng and the others, he would have been able to catch up to the fox in 5 minutes. After speaking, Fong Hufeng carefully sized up everyone's attire. When he saw that they were wearing the new uniforms of the Shrek Academy, he was slightly surprised. He hurriedly said, "So, it's the teachers and students of the Shrek Academy. Our family has also heard about the Blue Tyrant Academy's name change." At this moment, 3 25-year-old youths ran out from behind Fong Hufeng. Elder, did you catch my fourth soul ring? The rank 40 soul elder in the lead asked. Third young master, please don't be impatient. The teachers of the Shrek Academy have already caught it for us. Fong Huffing smiled and withdrew his soul ring and aura at the same time. That's great. This cyan gorgeous fox is extremely fast. I've absorbed its soul ring, and it can make up for the slow speed of our iron-horned bull. The person called Third Young Master said happily. The fact that these three were able to become soul ancestors at the age of 25 meant that they were quite talented. In fact, they could even be considered geniuses. As long as he cultivated diligently, he would be able to become a soul emperor before the age of 60, and becoming a soul sage wouldn't be a problem. As for becoming a soul Douluo, he wouldn't be able to become one if he didn't have the right opportunity. From rank 70 onwards, every 10 ranks was a hurdle. From rank 79 to rank 89, who knew how many soul masters were stuck there? Breaking through at this time depended on luck. If there was a fortuitous encounter, then it would be fine. If there was no fortuitous encounter, then it would be stuck. Just like Grandmaster, Tang San was his destiny. If it wasn't for that top-grade medicinal herb, he would never have become a soul Grandmaster. Ahem, I'm Flanders, the Dean of the Shrek Academy, Flanders said with a slightly strange expression. So it's Dean Flanders. My apologies for my lack of manners. Fong Huffing hurriedly cupped his hands again. With such a passionate scene, Flinder really didn't know how to make things difficult for them. As the saying goes, one doesn't slap a smiling face. The moment these people from the Oakland family came out, they spoke beautifully and recognized the Shrek Academy. Furthermore, they looked very impressed. This made things difficult for Flanders. Actually, Fong Huffing did this on purpose. He was a smart person, and he could sense that these people were very strong. Therefore, he immediately put in a good word for them and brought up the Oakland family behind him. After all, soul beasts in the forest would usually avoid being chased by others. There were only two possibilities for them to help capture the soul beast. First, they wanted the soul beast. Second, they wanted some benefits. There were 3 soul masters present who were at least soul sages. It wasn't realistic to say that they wanted some benefits for a 2,000-year soul beast. Therefore, Fong Huffing guessed that Flanders wanted the soul beast too. As for the soul beast deliberately charging towards them and then being forced to help capture it, no one would believe that. It was just a 2,000-year soul beast. The 3 soul sages didn't have any thoughts about it. They could easily send it flying with a kick. Why do they have to hold on to it and not let it go? Dean, I'm very grateful to you for helping our Oakland family capture this soul beast. I'll visit you soon to thank you. With that, Fong Huffing walked over with a smile and prepared to take the soul beast. Oscar was a little anxious. Tang Sen had just told him that this soul beast was very suitable for him. They had been looking for it for 3 days. It wasn't easy to find a soul beast with such a special skill. Seeing that everyone else had a soul ring, but he didn't, he was anxious. However, this was a conversation between important people. He didn't dare to say anything. Wait, just as Flanders was debating whether or not to give it to him, Lin Feng suddenly spoke up. This is... Fong Huffeng turned his head in confusion. Seeing that Lin Feng was young, he didn't pay much attention to him. Knowing that he was a soul emperor, he still dared to speak up. Your family's martial soul is the armored bull, right? When Fong Huffeng came over, he was still in a state of martial soul possession. Lin Feng saw him. Fong Huffeng didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Flanders. Clearly, he didn't think that Lin Feng was worthy of speaking to him. He wanted to know this guy's identity from Flanders. Lin Feng didn't care too much. He continued, absorbing this cyan gorgeous fox's soul ring isn't the most suitable. 2 kilometers to the east, there's a Gale wolf's den. There's a 3,000-year wolf king inside. That's more suitable for your 3rd young master. A 3,000-year Gale wolf. Good stuff. The 3rd young master's eyes lit up. Although they didn't know the theory behind the limit of soul rings, they had experience. They knew that it was possible to absorb a 3,000-year soul ring to become a soul ancestor. Furthermore, a 3,000-year soul ring was much more effective than a 2,000-year one. This was especially true for the Gale wolf. If the Ironhorn bulls were to absorb it, Their speed would no longer be a problem for soul ancestors and even soul kings. It had to be known that the armored bull's attack power was terrifying. Because of its slow speed, it wasn't much of a threat. But if its speed was increased, its strength would increase by several times. Elder, I don't want this fox. I want that 3,000-year Gale wolf, the third young master hurriedly said. Fong Hufeng frowned slightly. Third young master, don't be anxious. This matter still needs to be verified. The fourth soul ring required one to hunt a fast soul beast. This was something that the family had only recently deduced. Fong Hufeng had become a soul emperor a long time ago. Aside from 2 defense-type soul rings, his other 4 soul rings were all offense-type soul rings. His speed couldn't even compare to some agility-type soul ancestors. The Gale Wolf was even faster than the Cyan Gorgeous Fox. Fong Hufeng had trouble catching up to the Cyan Gorgeous Fox, let alone the Gale Wolf. Furthermore, this information wasn't necessarily true. 2 kilometers to the east was so far away. How do they know? Chapter 217. That's right. There's a 3,000-year Gale Wolf over there. Your iron-horned bull martial soul should absorb that soul ring. Flanders said. They had come from that direction just now and had indeed seen the Gale Wolves. However, he didn't know how old the oldest one was. 3,000 year? Did Lin Feng discover it himself? Although he was suspicious, this wasn't the time to think about it. They had to capture the fox first. He didn't believe it at first, but after hearing what the dean of the Shrek Academy said, Fong Hufeng believed it. However, he couldn't capture it himself unless they helped him. As he thought about it, Fong Hufeng said, Dean Flanders, it seems like your students really need this Cyan Gorgeous Fox. However, I'm too slow to capture that 3,000-year Gale Wolf. I wonder if, although he didn't finish his sentence, his meaning was clear. The Shrek Academy could have the Cyan Gorgeous Fox, but they had to help capture that 3,000-year Gale Wolf. This was a reasonable exchange. 1 soul beast for 1 soul beast. It was similar to how Lin Feng used to trade soul beasts for money. That's not a problem. I'll help you capture it. Flanders tossed the Cyan Gorgeous Fox to Oscar as he spoke. Little A.O., kill this soul beast. The rest of you wait here. I'll go capture it. Just like that, Flanders accompanied the group of Auckland family members to capture the Gale Wolf. Oscar remained where he was, absorbing the soul ring. It was a good thing that there was no conflict. They didn't need to talk about offending the Grand Prince, because the matter had been resolved. Lin Feng had told them that Douluo wouldn't dare to cause trouble for them in the future. If they offended a duke, who was also a local tyrant in Heavendo City, it would be difficult for them to survive. Although Lu Erlong was from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, she didn't have a good relationship with them. Some of the big clans knew this. They didn't care about the Blue Tyrant Academy because it didn't have any conflict of interest with them. The Blue Tyrant Academy was a commoner's academy and only accepted commoners. Furthermore, Lu Erlong didn't have much ambition. She only cared about her Blue Tyrant Academy. Therefore, she didn't have any conflicts with the nobles in the past few years. However, the Shrek Academy couldn't do anything if they offended the nobles. Didn't you see that after Douluo captured Tang San, Lu Erlong couldn't borrow any external help other than herself? Who in Heavendo City would care about this? No one. This was not only because of Douluo's strength, but also because of the Hidden Noble Alliance. When these noble clans worked together, their strength was beyond imagination. The Grand Prince's words turned Tang San's capture into a joke. In the face of such a powerful alliance, Tidal Douluo was nothing. Some Soul Douluo were as strong as Tidal Douluo. If 4 or 5 Soul Douluo attacked a Tidal Douluo, even the Tidal Douluo would die. There were many Soul Douluo like this in Heavendo City. Of course, this was only because they didn't know Lin Feng's strength. If they knew Lin Feng's strength, they wouldn't have reacted this way. Xiao Ao, hurry up and kill this soul beast. Once you absorb its soul ring, you can go back. The Cyan Gorgeous Fox wanted to run away, but Zhao Wuji grabbed her. I'll absorb it right away. With that, Oscar took out a dagger and killed the Cyan Gorgeous Fox. The 2,000-year-old Cyan Gorgeous Fox was still quite strong. If it weren't for Zhao Wuji restraining it, Oscar would have been killed in an instant. Unfortunately, there are no ifs. Half a minute later, a purple halo appeared and Oscar absorbed it into his body. Half an hour later, Flanders returned. It seemed that things had gone well. Another half an hour later, Oscar finished absorbing the soul ring. "I'm rank 41, Oscar exclaimed. "My fourth soul skill is so strong." A 2,000-year-old soul ring contained a lot of energy. Although Oscar was only rank 41, it wouldn't be long before he reached rank 42. "What's the effect? Why are you so excited?" Dai Mubai asked curiously. Oscar didn't answer. Instead, he chanted an incantation. "I have a berserker intestine." "Berserker intestine? I'm sure you guys can guess its effect," Oscar said excitedly. "It can increase all stats by 15% and make you immune to spiritual control. All stats increase by 15%. It's even immune to spiritual control. That's too strong," Ning Rongrong exclaimed. 15% wasn't much, but it was indeed a terrifying increase to all stats. It was also immune to spiritual control. This was simply a godly skill. Xiao Wu's invincible move to the back row actually had a major flaw. Invincible plus teleportation meant that she was immune to physical attacks and spiritual control. However, she was most vulnerable to spiritual control. Although there weren't many soul masters with spiritual control soul skills, it was still a weakness for Xiao Wu. However, Oscar Sausage solved this problem perfectly. The Grandmaster couldn't help but laugh. Shrek's 7 monsters have a chance to win the Continental Academy Elite Tournament. Little Fong is also a member of the Academy. If he's a substitute, we'll definitely win the championship, Flinders said with a smile. "I can't be bothered. I don't like to bully weaklings. If his main body went up, it would be too much of a bully. Furthermore, he wouldn't give any experience." Lin Feng wasn't that bored. At the mention of the word weak chicken, Tang San and the others suddenly united together. Tang San, who was the leader, said, "Fengge, we haven't fought in a long time. Now that our strength has increased tremendously, we want to challenge you." "Yes, defeat Fengge. Defeating Fengge is our greatest goal." The group of people looked excited as if they had already beaten Lin Feng to the ground. At this moment, their soul power had increased by quite a bit. Tang San, rank 43 soul ancestor. Xiao Wu, rank 42 soul ancestor. Dai Mubai, rank 46 soul ancestor. Oscar, rank 41 soul ancestor. Ning Rongrong, rank 37 soul ancestor. Zhu Zhuqing, rank 38 soul ancestor. Ma Hongjun, rank 38 soul ancestor. The soul skills they obtained were also very powerful. Tang San's group controlled Blue-Silver Cage, Xiao Wu's invincible golden body, Dai Mubai's white tiger shadow strike, and Oscar's berserk intestine. Apart from that, Ning Rongrong's third soul skill was soul power amplification. This was a special martial soul, and the effects of her soul skills were based on her rank. Every 10 ranks increased, the effects would increase by 10%. As a soul ancestor, she could increase the strength of other soul power by 30%. Chapter 218. Of course, the effect of Ning Rongrong's soul skill wasn't fixed. If she injected more soul power and could control it well, the effect could become even stronger. If she had the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda in the past, Ning Rongrong would probably only be able to increase her strength by 2% before she learned how to control her soul power. After she learned how to control her soul power, she could increase her strength by about 5%. Now, her martial soul had evolved into the 9 treasures Glazed Pagoda. With Ning Rongrong's current control over her martial soul, she could directly increase her strength by 10%. Although she was only a soul elder, she could still increase her strength to that of a soul ancestor. Don't think that 10% wasn't a lot. When she became a soul sage, this increase would be even more frightening. Ning Rongrong would probably be able to double her opponent's strength, or even more. It was important to know that Ning Fengji was a soul sage. Even he couldn't directly double someone's strength. It was already very frightening that his martial soul true body could increase Kinduru Ashen's strength by 90%. From this, it could be seen how great Ning Rongrong's potential was now. Ma Hongjuan's third soul skill was the Phoenix Wing Strike. This soul skill was very similar to Lin Feng's Thunderous Wings. However, it was much weaker. Its effect was to attach fiery wings to one's hands. With a flap, one could fly. One's attacks could be enhanced with flames, and it was an area of effect attack. Most importantly, this pair of wings could be flapped one last time, turning into a fiery phoenix that charged towards the opponent. It was a proper area of effect soul skill. Because of this soul skill, Ma Hongjun instantly transformed from a supporting character to a main character. Finally, it was Zhu Zhuqing's turn. Her third soul skill was called Netherworld Shadow Strike. This soul skill was very strong. It allowed one to turn into a shadow and infiltrate one's shadow. After that, one would suddenly appear. When one appeared, one's next attack would be strengthened, and it would be very powerful. TSK. It was a very powerful assassination soul skill. It was because of this huge increase in strength that Tang San and the rest were confident in challenging Lin Feng. Everyone guessed that Lin Feng was already a soul ancestor and that he had obtained another 10,000-year soul ring. However, Lin Feng didn't show it. He didn't answer her questions, so she couldn't see him clearly. Tang San even guessed that Lin Feng wasn't just a soul ancestor. After all, Lin Feng had eaten so many immortal-grade medicinal herbs without dying. Tang San believed that Lin Feng had broken through to become a soul emperor. All right, I'll give you all a chance to challenge me. Lin Feng smiled and stood in front of the crowd. Speaking of which, he had not fought with Tang San and the others for a long time. He did not know how much they had improved. Their teamwork was quite strong. After all, they were the Golden Soulless Battle Team. They quickly came up with a set of tactics. As usual, as long as you can survive for 3 minutes, I'll reimburse you for all your expenses in the next 3 days, Lin Feng said with a rich smile. Hearing this, there was no excitement on everyone's faces, because they knew that it was very difficult to last 3 minutes against Lin Feng. Although they said that they would defeat Lin Feng, it was just a slogan. To be honest, they had to go all out to have a slim chance of holding on for 3 minutes. Old Fu, what do you think? Can Xiao San and the others hold on? Zhao Wuji asked curiously. The corner of Flanders' mouth twitched slightly. I don't know if they can hold on or not. I only know one thing. This Xiao Feng is a rich dog. Zhao Wuji, master, acted as the referee and helped both sides time. Lu Erlong's eyes were full of curiosity. She knew that Lin Feng was very strong, but his previous moves were too fast. She couldn't see anything at all. Now that she was going to fight with Tang San and the others, she had to see how strong Lin Feng was. At this time, Master shouted, "I announce that the challenge begins." At his command, Tang San and the others summoned their martial souls at the same time. Oscar immediately retreated and began to make all kinds of sausages. Ning Rongrong stood behind Tang San and used all her buffs on everyone. Before the two of them moved, Tang San's fourth soul ring suddenly lit up. The blue-silver cage appeared under Lin Feng's feet. Immediately after, Tang San's blue-silver grass wrapped around Lin Feng. He knew that the blue-silver cage couldn't control Lin Feng at all. On the other side, Zhu Zhuqing didn't immediately launch a sneak attack. Instead, he looked around and waited for the best opportunity. Dai Mubai and Xiao Wu rushed forward together, ready to forcefully control Lin Feng. Ma Hongjun directly released his third soul skill and flew into the sky, ready to attack from above. These 7 people were still vigilant, but he didn't know if it was because of their sudden increase in strength or because of their powerful soul skills. In any case, Lin Feng could see a trace of arrogance in their actions. Tang San and the support didn't need to be mentioned, but Dai Mubai and Xiao Wu rushed over together. Were they planning to buy one, get one free? Zhu Zhuqing wasn't wrong to wait for an opportunity, but it wasn't wrong for him to use Shadow Assault to buy time for Dai Mubai and the others to attack. Ma Hongjun was so dazzling. Was he trying to become the sun or something by flying in the sky? It was ridiculous to have a live target in the sky. After fighting with him for so long, he at least knew his attacking methods. Showing off his third soul skill was simply courting death. Taking advantage of the fact that Tang San's blue-silver cage hadn't completely closed, Lin Feng jumped out of the cage. After that, he broke off a branch from a random tree and threw it at Ma Hongjun. As Ma Hongjun wasn't completely familiar with this soul skill, he was affected by the burning flames on his hands and didn't see the trajectory of the branch. Bang! The branch hit his face. Ma Hongjun fell from the sky and hit the ground. He wasn't even familiar with his soul skill, yet he used it so recklessly. He was simply courting death. At this moment, Dai Mubai was already not far from Lin Feng. Taking advantage of Xiao Wu's approach, he immediately used his White Tiger's Fierce Light Wave to restrict Lin Feng's movements from afar. However, Lin Feng didn't care at all. He endured these attacks and directly rushed towards Xiao Wu. Dai Mubai, this is my second soul skill. You should at least dodge it. Don't you want to lose face? Lu Erlong's mouth was wide open. Mubai's a soul ancestor, right? Although it's only his second soul skill, it's still powerful. Even a soul king, without any protection, would be injured. This Xiao Feng is really a monster among monsters. I didn't expect it either. He would dodge it before, but now he's not dodging at all. Maybe his fourth soul ring was obtained from a 10,000-year soul beast with strong defense. The master sighed. At this moment, Lu Erlong suddenly reacted. Wait, this guy didn't even release his soul ring. How can he be so strong? He's always been this strong, Flanders said matter-of-factly. Lu Erlong. Chapter 219. Lu Erlong was really convinced by Lin Feng now. Not to mention others, just Lu Erlong herself, a soul sage with a mutated martial soul, was comparable to soul Douluo. If she didn't use her martial soul, she wouldn't dare to say that she could defeat Tang San and the others in 3 minutes. At this moment, looking at Lin Feng's situation, she felt that everything was very easy. It was really terrifying. Is he really an auxiliary-type soul master? Lu Erlong asked again. Although she already knew the answer, she really didn't dare to believe it and couldn't help but ask again. At least that's what he said. Master curled his lips. In my opinion, Xiao Feng can be considered as a soul master of all types. He has great strength, fast speed, auxiliary abilities, and extremely strong defensive abilities. He's simply omnipotent. Just as Master and the others were lamenting, Lin Feng had already arrived in front of Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu didn't dare to be careless. She directly activated her invincible golden body and directly faced Lin Feng head-on. Haha, smelly Feng Ge, you can't hit me now. Eat my 8 steps fall. Xiao Wu laughed loudly, her words indescribably carefree. In the past, every attack of Xiao Wu's was blocked by Lin Feng. Then he would easily grab her and use his soul power to directly cripple her. This time, she activated her invincible golden body. Not only could she block any attack, but her strength had also doubled. Xiao Wu was confident that she wouldn't be restrained by Lin Feng. However, in the next second, Lin Feng reached out at a very tricky angle and grabbed her ankle. Then, as if he was playing with a stick, Lin Feng grabbed her and smashed her towards Dai Mubai. Xiao Wu's big golden head slammed into Dai Mubai's stomach. Bang! When he was sent flying, Dai Mubai was dumbfounded. At this moment, Tang San's blue-silver grass also wrapped over. Lin Feng didn't panic at all and directly threw Xiao Wu forward a block in front of him. Taking advantage of the pause of the blue-silver grass, Lin Feng wanted to run. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing's third soul skill, Nether Shadow Assault, was activated. In an instant, she appeared behind Lin Feng and clawed at him. Very fast, but your soul skill is your soul power fluctuations are too obvious. With a faint smile, Lin Feng reached out behind him. Zhu Zhuqing's soul power. Of course, the latter was startled, and her entire body stiffened. She never thought that her soul skill would be discovered so easily. In the next second, she was even more confused because Lin Feng pulled her forcefully, and she fell into Lin Feng's arms. What's he doing? Is he going to hug me? Zhu Zhuqing's heart was pounding, and she thought of many things. Originally, she still had a chance to break free. After all, Lin Feng's grip wasn't very tight and gave her a chance to break free. Unfortunately, her heart was in a mess and she didn't want to escape. This made Lin Feng frown. Then, he grabbed Zhu Zhuqing and threw her at Tang San's blue silver grass like Xiao Wu. Being distracted in battle is a big taboo. Go back and run 10 laps as punishment. Practice your third soul skill at least 10 times a day. After Zhu Zhuqing was thrown out, Lin Feng's voice reached her ears. Only then did she come back to her senses. Dai Mubai rallied and attacked again. Xiao Wu also relied on the fact that her golden body still had a few seconds left and immediately teleported to attack. On the other side, Oscar also woke up Ma Hongjun and fed him a series of sausages. This increased his strength by a level. He no longer flew in the sky and directly attacked Lin Feng. Tang Sen shouted, "Everyone, take this opportunity to leave the battlefield and come to Xiao Ao to eat the sausages. I will try my best to control Feng Ge." With that, Tang Sen unsheathed the 8 spider spears on his back and rushed towards Lin Feng. The blue-silver grass in his hand danced like countless tentacles and surrounded Lin Feng. Oscar took advantage of this time to make the sausages that increased attributes. If everyone ate them, their strength should increase by another level. At this moment, Lin Feng laughed. "If I really let you guys eat it, where will I put my face?" With a swing of his hand, he sent Xiao Wu flying. Lin Feng rushed straight towards Tang San. "White Tiger, Shadow Strike." At this moment, Dai Mubai shouted. A huge fish shadow appeared and smashed towards Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng was too fast. Dai Mubai's soul skill missed. To be honest, before the challenge began, Dai Mubai was very confident. He felt that it was simply inconceivable for a 15-year-old to become a soul ancestor. A rank 46 soul ancestor was already an expert. He could even be a teacher in an advanced soul master academy. However, when the challenge began, Dai Mubai realized that his so-called expert was not worth mentioning in front of Lin Feng. His second soul skill was useless against him. It was like scratching an itch. Lin Feng directly endured his attack and attacked others. Furthermore, his powerful fourth soul skill couldn't even hit his opponent. How useless! At this moment, Dai Mubai was a little depressed. At the side, the master frowned. He was thinking about the problem of soul skill proficiency. In fact, in the past, the term soul skill proficiency wasn't very important at all. In his opinion, soul skills were soul skills. It was already very good to be able to use them at the right time. However, Lin Feng gave him a vivid lesson. Soul skills were not just about being able to use them and choosing the right time to use them. You also needed to completely control them. Take Dai Mubai's fourth soul skill as an example. Did he choose the wrong time just now? Of course, he did. He wanted to prevent Lin Feng from getting close to the crowd, so he used his soul skill at the right time. However, his usage of it was simply too lousy. He simply unleashed his soul skill before smashing it out. If he was a little more flexible and changed his fist into a palm, wouldn't he be able to catch Lin Feng just now? At this moment, Lin Feng had already sent Dai Mubai flying with a punch. Then, he went around Tang San and cut towards the back row. Seeing this, the master shook his head. Well, Lin Feng was too abnormal. But if he extended his train of thought just now, Dai Mubai could catch him even if he was an agility-type soul master. In the past, their impression of soul skills was too rigid. They didn't want to be flexible. If they were all like Lin Feng, improving their soul skill proficiency and then try to adapt their soul skills, their strength would go up a level. Thinking of this, the master's eyes lit up and he was very excited. In fact, in the Great Soul Arena, it was almost impossible to find a loophole in other people's soul skills and then dodge. The reason why Lin Feng made everyone's soul skills so obvious was mainly because he was too strong. Otherwise, if it were another soul ancestor, Zhu Zhuqing would have easily hit him, and Dai Mubai's soul skill wouldn't have missed. Lin Feng's speed was too fast. Tang San's blue-silver grass couldn't catch up, so he could only shout to remind them, "Everyone, fly up." Ning Rongrong and the others also reacted very quickly. They immediately ate the mushroom intestines and flew up. Chapter 220. You want to fly? It's too late. Lin Feng chuckled. With a light leap, he was like a cannonball. Under Oscar's horrified gaze, he directly pulled him down. Feng Ge, don't! Oscar screamed. I'll let you experience the feeling of flying. Lin Feng chuckled. In the air, he threw Oscar forcefully. Ah! With a scream, Oscar was like a meatball, crashing straight into Ma Hongjun, who had just taken off. Bang! The two of them crashed into each other and fell to the ground, unconscious. Lin Feng used the reaction force of throwing Oscar to dodge Tang San's blue silvergrass attack. He landed on a big tree at the side and tilted his head to look at Ning Rongrong, who was still alone in the air. Feng Ge, don't throw me away. You'll ruin my face. I admit defeat. At this moment, Tang San couldn't quickly provide support, and the others were further away. If they really encountered an enemy, Ning Rongrong had no other choice but to die. She could only admit defeat. If she didn't admit defeat, she would probably suffer the same treatment as Oscar. During a battle, Lin Feng didn't care if you were a man or a woman. In any case, he treated everyone equally. If you deserved to be beaten, he would beat you. Stop the buff and go to Oscar's side. After saying that, he didn't care about Ning Rongrong anymore. Lin Feng landed on the ground. Taking advantage of this gap, Tang Sin used his blue silvergrass to distribute the sausages that Oscar had given him to the remaining people. There are still 2.5 minutes left. There are only 4 of you left, and Rongrong's buff is gone. Even if you eat Xiao Ao's all-attribute sausage, it won't help. Admit defeat, Lin Feng said as he walked towards the 4 people. This was a small test. If they admitted defeat, Lin Feng would stop and analyze the problem of this battle. If they didn't admit defeat, not only would Lin Feng beat them up, but he would also punish them to run laps with Zhu Zhuqing. Also, it was time for them to practice their soul skills. Lin Feng couldn't supervise them himself, as he didn't have the time. He had to let Grandmaster supervise them. Why did he punish them? The reason was very simple. In the face of absolute strength, one clearly knew that resistance was futile, yet one still insisted on resisting. Wouldn't that be foolish? It's not like there's something behind you that you need to protect. If there was, you would still choose to fight to the death. Lin Feng admired this kind of courage. At the same time, Lin Feng was also such a person. If he wanted to protect something that he recognized, whether it was his country, his race, his family, or anything that was worth protecting, he would do anything. If these things were behind him, Lin Feng would fight to the death without hesitation. However, it was obvious that Tang San and the others didn't have anything to protect at this time. The most correct thing to do was to admit defeat, learn from it, and work harder next time. This was the so-called understanding of the situation. Tang Sin clearly had the brain to understand the situation, but the other 3 couldn't. Dai Mubai, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Zhuqing were all full of fighting spirit and clearly didn't want to admit defeat. Especially Zhu Zhuqing. After being flung away, his face turned red. After a while, he came back to his senses and thought that he must teach Lin Feng a lesson later. Feng Ge, you know that we, Shrek's 7 monsters, will never admit defeat. Xiao was very arrogant. Even if her golden body was gone, she still had a fierce look on her face. Although Dai Mubai was very depressed about this battle, he didn't want to admit defeat at this time, and he got into a fighting stance. Zhu Zhuqing's soul rings were revolving around him, and that was enough to explain everything. At the side, Ning Rongrong shouted without thinking, "Do your best. Take revenge for us." However, Tang San was the captain of the 7 monsters, and the others were waiting for him to give the order. We admit defeat. Tang San withdrew his martial soul and ate Spider Spear, and said calmly, "From the battle just now, Tang San came to a conclusion. They had no chance of winning, and Lin Feng was too strong." Originally, Tang San thought that they could hold on for 3 minutes after this upgrade. After all, he and Xiao Wu both had 10,000-year soul rings. However, in front of Lin Feng, it was no different from before. What a joke! With 400,000-year soul rings and 200,000-year soul bones, Douluo's physique, it would be strange if a single 10,000-year soul ring could make a difference. Third brother, I think we can fight. I was so close just now. If I was just a little bit faster, I would definitely be able to defeat Feng Ge. Xiao Wu was just like Ning Rongrong. She didn't know what was going on. Was that just a little bit? It was clearly 100 million points. When Lin Feng practiced with them in the past, he always defeated them with a strength that was slightly stronger than theirs. However, no matter how much they improved, Feng Ge was always a little bit stronger than them. After these few years, Tang Xin clearly understood this fact. Dai Mubai and Zhu Zhuqing were still aware of this, and didn't say anything. They knew that they couldn't beat him. Xiao Wu go. Defeat Feng Ge. Ning Rongrong shouted. You're already dead now. You're not allowed to speak. Lin Feng threw a small pastry over and stuffed it into Ning Rongrong's mouth. Woo! Ning Rongrong immediately shut her mouth. How is it? Do you admit defeat? Lin Feng asked again. I admit defeat. Tang Xin nodded again. Very good. A wise decision. The master walked over and said with a smile, the few of you are still not very familiar with your soul skills. When you go back, practice well and try challenging him again. To be honest, no one knew how strong Lin Feng was. They couldn't even see through the outermost layer of disguise. The master is right. Your soul skills are too rusty. When you go back, practice more. You also need to practice your soul power control more. Lin Feng nodded. As he spoke, Lin Feng used his life force to wake up Ma Hongjun and Oscar. How is it? Did you guys hold on for 3 minutes? Oscar immediately asked after waking up. Ma Hongjun, on the other hand, was concerned about something else. Does that mean we can play in Heavendoe City for 3 days for free? That's right. You can play in the academy for 3 days. Dai Mubai said unhappily. We failed. Ma Hongjun shouted miserably. My luxurious 3-day tour of Heavendoe City is gone just like that. It's too tragic. This fatty was purely funny. Everyone was amused by his words. In the following time, Master Lin and Lin Feng analyzed the shortcomings of the battle for everyone. Everyone nodded, especially Xiao Wu. Just a moment ago, she had been clamoring to agree to Lin Feng's request. After listening to the master's analysis, she realized how unsightly her performance had been. After that, they didn't stay in the setting sun forest for long. Instead, they quickly made their way to Heavendoe City. This time, they had all obtained soul rings. Furthermore, their cultivation speed had greatly increased, and their soul power ranks were also very high. It wouldn't be long before they could all become soul ancestors. Chapter 221. Among them, Ning Rongrong had the lowest soul power rank, but she was still rank 37. After being strengthened by the immortal herbs, their cultivation speed had increased once again. There was still half a year before the Continental Elite Academy tournament, and they would definitely become soul ancestors in half a year. A team that was made up of soul ancestors. Just thinking about it made Grandmaster and the others excited. This was because they were going to win the championship. With the strength of Tang San's team, they would be able to crush the other teams. Furthermore, the duration of this tournament was very long. The entire tournament might take up to a year. In addition to the current half a year, Dai Mubai could very well become a Soul King in a year and a half. A team of this level was terrifying just thinking about it. When that happened, the entire continent would be shocked, and their Shrek Academy would become famous. Thinking about this, the smile on Flanders's face never disappeared. It was already afternoon when they returned to the academy. Lin Feng discussed the training with Grandmaster and especially instructed Zhu Zhuqing to run laps before leaving the academy. For the next period of time, Lin Feng was prepared to stay near the ice fire Yin Yang well. Every day, he would soak in the hot spring, eat grass, and run around with Douluo currently. He still had close to 10 million experience points after this round. Well, he didn't even have 1 million experience points. He could leave. Just like that, 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. During this period of time, other than returning to the Shrek Academy when he was really bored, Lin Feng spent the rest of his time soaking in the hot spring and sleeping. After eating the immortal herbs for so long, coupled with the stimulation of the hot spring, Lin Feng felt that he couldn't suppress the medicinal effects in his body anymore. That's right, Lin Feng had been suppressing the medicinal effects all this time. Although these immortal herbs didn't have much of an effect on Soul Douluo, they still increased his soul power by quite a bit after gathering so many of them. Previously, when he was about to advance, Lin Feng suppressed all the medicinal effects in the end. But now that so much time had passed, he felt that he couldn't suppress it anymore. Lin Feng didn't want to absorb it, or else his soul power would definitely increase, and that wouldn't be good. He had to find a place or a way to use this large lump of medicinal strength. Otherwise, it would be quite distressing to waste it. Just as he was thinking about this, Douluo came down. He didn't dare to show the slightest bit of anger towards Lin Feng's actions of occupying his treasured land. After so many days, he had already been thoroughly beaten into submission. He was really convinced by this masked man. He was too strong, so strong that he could crush him. He had nothing to say about his defeat. Moreover, after so many days, he still couldn't figure out Lin Feng's identity. It was really too mysterious. "Sir, I brought my granddaughter, Douluo. She's waiting upstairs right now. You said that you would cure her in half a month." Hearing this, Lin Feng jumped out of the hot spring and said calmly, "Let's go. Take me there." Helping a low-level soul master detoxify, his poison wasn't a problem at all. "Douluo greets, sir." It was obvious that Douluo had mentioned Lin Feng's strength before. At this moment, Douluo was very respectful. What a joke. Even her grandfather, who was at the level of a titled Douluo, said that he was an extremely respected figure. How could she dare to be rude to such a person? Lin Feng said indifferently, "Turn around. Yin, turn around." Douluo hurriedly said. After Douluo nervously turned around, Lin Feng placed his hand on Douluo's back. First, his soul power surged in her body to check all the poison in her body. Then, his soul power turned into life force. The poison in her body seemed to have met its nemesis and quickly melted. The entire process didn't hurt at all. Under the nourishment of life force, it was very comfortable. Douluo felt as if she was soaking in a hot spring. After half of the poison had melted, Lin Feng's heart suddenly moved. He didn't continue to melt it. Instead, he raised his hand, and a pure green poison appeared at his fingertips. "This is the jade-scaled snake venom." Murmuring, Lin Feng suddenly integrated a trace of the medicinal power in his body into it. In the next moment, the snake venom shone brightly. A few seconds later, the snake venom turned from pure green to light green. Touching it with his hand, his skin made a sizzling sound. The poison was still there, and it was even stronger. However, it wasn't as strong as before. It felt like it could melt into the blood. This is the venom evolving? According to the original work, when Tang Xin detoxified Douluo and his grandson, he asked Douluo and the others to guide the poison into their own soul bones. In this way, the poison wouldn't endanger their lives. At the same time, they could preserve their strength. Now that Douluo's snake venom had been extracted by Lin Feng, her strength would decrease a little. According to Lin Feng's previous treatment method, he would eliminate all the snake venom in Douluo's body and then use his life force to affect her martial soul. In this way, her venom should mutate in the future. It might become stronger or weaker. Anyway, he wasn't sure. However, there was one thing for sure. It wouldn't poison him anymore. This method wasn't bad, but there were some uncertainties. Furthermore, his strength would definitely decrease in a short period of time. But just now, Lin Feng discovered a new method, which was to fuse the medicinal power with the venom and evolve it. The medicinal power in Lin Feng's body was huge. Even if it was only a trace, it was enough to evolve Douluo's venom. "Sir, this is..." Douluo looked at the fragrant poison in Lin Feng's hand and was a little confused. "Isn't this the jade-scaled snake venom? How did it become like this?" A small experiment. With that, Lin Feng sent the small ball of evolved jade-scaled snake venom into Douluo's body. After sensing that the venom didn't cause any harm to Douluo, Lin Feng said, "Release a few soul skills and see." Douluo didn't dare to say no. She hurriedly released 3 of her soul skills. Lin Feng didn't think much of it. However, Douluo and Douluo's eyes lit up. "I become stronger. My soul skills are at least 50% stronger than before. Furthermore, my soul power feels like it's about to break through." With that, Douluo immediately sat down cross-legged and began to meditate. The medicinal power in Lin Feng's body was compressed from the essence of hundreds of herbs he had eaten over 10 days. Even if it was only a trace, it was comparable to a top-tier herb. This time, Douluo's opportunity had come. As long as she could absorb this bit of medicinal power, her martial soul might mutate, and her soul power rank might increase. Although it wouldn't be as powerful as a real immortal herb, it would still be strong enough. "Thank you, sir." Douluo hurriedly expressed his gratitude. He wasn't a fool. After all, he was a titled Douluo. He could tell that Douluo had benefited from Lin Feng. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly smiled. "Douluo, do you want to break through to rank 95? Douluo. Chapter 222. Level 95, that was a special level. A titled Douluo who could reach rank 95 could be called a super Douluo. They were all extremely powerful. This was also a rank that was extremely far away for Douluo. He was only rank 91, 4 ranks away. Because of the poison, his strength hadn't improved for a long time. He probably wouldn't be able to reach that rank in his lifetime. But now, Lin Feng suddenly asked him if he wanted to reach rank 95. Was there need to ask? Of course he wanted to, even in his dreams. "Sir, you have a way for me to reach rank 95? Douluo said in disbelief. "There's a high chance that I can. So what can you give me?" Lin Feng asked with a smile. These were several hundred stalks of immortal herbs. Although the EXP gained was decreasing, the medicinal efficacy did not decrease by much. This was the essence of the medicinal efficacy that had been compressed to the extreme. If it was merged with Douluo's venom, even if he was a titled Douluo, his soul power would increase by several ranks. Rank 95 was an estimate, and that wasn't the most important point. The evolution of the poison could strengthen his jade-scaled snake emperor or even mutate again. It could be said that with the help of Lin Feng's immortal medicine essence, Douluo's strength would undergo an earth-shaking change. "Sir, as long as you can help me break through and solve the poison, I, Jade-scaled Douluo, will be loyal to you," Douluo said solemnly, half kneeling on the ground. Douluo was a titled Douluo. Even if Douluo was meditating nearby, Douluo wouldn't let his voice reach her. People in Douluo's world still had some chivalry. To be able to say something like loyalty required a lot of courage. And this kind of loyalty usually didn't involve betrayal. Douluo said this because his life was in Lin Feng's hands. On the other hand, Douluo was now rank 91, which was almost his limit. In the past few years, Douluo had been working hard to cultivate, but the torture of the poison had caused his strength to decrease instead of increase. This was simply a kind of torture, the kind that made one unable to see the future. At this moment, Douluo saw hope for the future. It would be strange if Douluo wasn't excited. Loyal to death. The smile on Lin Feng's face deepened. The reason why he proposed this idea was to truly accept Douluo as an experienced baby. At the moment, Douluo's relationship with the experienced baby was maintained through transactions. Still, he would have to give the experienced baby something in return. The breakthrough in the experienced baby's strength would be the greatest benefit for Douluo. After all, he was already a titled Douluo, and he didn't need soul rings. He could even get soul bones. What they wanted the most was to make a breakthrough in their soul power. Good. As long as you are loyal, there is hope for you to become a god in the future. Lin Feng smiled and patted Douluo's shoulder. He was not afraid of betrayal at all. He had given Douluo what he wanted the most, and no one else could afford it. No one could make him betray him. Become a god? Douluo's body trembled. This was a goal that he didn't even dare to think about. In Douluo's mind, it was simply unrealistic. It wasn't just him. From what he knew, there hadn't been a god on the continent for a long time. It had been so long that the word god had almost been lost. "Fight with me first. We'll talk after your granddaughter wakes up and sends her out." Lin Feng changed the topic. "Yes, sir." Douluo was very confused, but he didn't dare to say anything. However, the more he interacted with Lin Feng, the more mysterious Lin Feng's identity became in his eyes. He was definitely not from some aristocratic family or sect. He was so powerful, yet he still dared to talk about gods. He was either a hidden master or someone from a hidden family or sect. The number one sect, the Clear Sky sect, had been hidden for so many years. This masked man couldn't be from the Clear Sky sect, could he? Although his martial soul wasn't a hammer, it was still a very powerful tool martial soul. It might have mutated. While Douluo was thinking about his identity, the two of them went to the side and started their battle. Speaking of which, Douluo was very confused as to why Lin Feng wanted to spar with him every day. To increase his combat experience? But that didn't seem like it. He had never seen anyone beat up their opponents to increase their combat experience. As for the other reason, he couldn't think of it. There was nothing for him to gain from Douluo. Could it be that this was the quirk of an expert like Lin Feng? Why did he have to beat someone up every day? While Douluo was thinking about this, Lin Feng had been beating him up for more than 10 minutes. Ding! After an exciting battle, the host has injured Douluo, a level 91 title battle pet warrior, Douluo. Combat experience increased. Experience points plus 526. 547. Douluo only had a little more than 5 million experience points. This was the result after Lin Feng deliberately prolonged the battle. Otherwise, it would have been even less. Lin Feng had upgraded Douluo partly because he wanted to test it out. A higher level title battle pet warrior, Douluo, should provide more experience points. Besides, Lin Feng had noticed something else. If Douluo didn't farm experience points every day, but every few days, or even after a certain period of time, the experience points provided wouldn't decrease too much. In fact, the experience points might even increase. At the moment, since there weren't many experience points, Lin Feng had to focus on Douluo. When there were more experience points, he could switch to Douluo. Okay, that's all for today. Your granddaughter is about to wake up. With that said, Lin Feng used his life force to heal Douluo's wounds. If Douluo were to fight every day, he wouldn't be able to recover in one day. Therefore, Lin Feng had to use his life force. Douluo wasn't surprised by this. At first, he thought that the green thing was to counter his toxins. Later, he realized that it was pure life force, which shocked him. However, after such a long time, he wasn't surprised anymore. Thank you, sir. Douluo cupped his hands and quickly went to Douguyan's side. At this moment, Douguyan woke up. She excitedly said, "Grandfather, I'm rank 40 now. I'm going to become a soul ancestor soon." When they went to Soto City, Douguyan was only rank 38. When they came back, she was rank 39. If there were no accidents, she would be able to reach rank 42 before the tournament. However, because of this opportunity, she directly reached rank 40. When the time came, she would obtain a good soul ring. When the tournament started, she was confident that she could reach rank 44 or even rank 45. Not bad. Douluo nodded. Then, he quickly asked, "Yin Yin, can you sense if the poison in your body is still burning?" Chapter 223. Douguyan still remembered clearly that her main objective was to get rid of the poison in her body. After hearing Douluo's voice, she hurriedly sensed it. A few seconds later, she nodded in surprise and said, "Grandpa, it's gone. That feeling is gone. My poison is gone." "Good, good," Douluo exclaimed 3 times. When Douguyan sensed it earlier, he also checked it out. In the end, he realized that Douguyan was much stronger than before after Lin Feng's transformation. Her soul power rank had increased, her martial soul had become stronger, and the poison had been removed. Most importantly, there were no side effects. This was the most amazing thing. When Douluo heard that Lin Feng would help him reach level 95, he thought that it would be through external help and that he wouldn't be able to improve in the future. This was nothing to Douluo. If his poison wasn't removed, he would be stuck at rank 91 for the rest of his life. It was already good enough that he was stuck at rank 95. But now that he sensed it, he felt that something was wrong. If Lin Feng used the same method to remove the poison for him, it wouldn't be like pulling a seedling to help it grow. It would be a miracle. His soul power and martial soul were strengthened, and he could even improve his body's condition. If this wasn't a miracle, then what was? Could Lin Feng be a powerful person who obtained God's inheritance? Otherwise, how could he be so strong and create miracles? At this moment, Douluo had already imagined Lin Feng to be God's successor. Filled with excitement, Douluo immediately sent Yin back and then returned here. Beside the ice fire Yong well, Lin Feng said, "Go in. Otherwise, you won't be able to take it." The medicinal power in his body was too strong. Even with Lin Feng's current physique, he could only suppress it. Douluo's small body might explode later. Therefore, Lin Feng asked him to jump into the ice fire Yong well. This way, the medicinal power would neutralize the power of the hot spring. As long as he could withstand it, he wouldn't explode. "Yes, sir." Douluo didn't hesitate and jumped into the ice fire Yong well. Lin Feng raised his hand. The suppressed medicinal power in his body condensed into a 7-colored pill on his palm. "Eat it and continue to meditate. How much you can gain depends on yourself." With a wave of his hand, the pill flew to Douluo. There was only so much medicinal power. How much he could absorb after eating it depended on himself. With the help of the hot spring, it was possible for him to reach rank 96. But if there was too much of it, he could only reach rank 94. Taking the pill, Douluo could sense the immense power within it. Without any hesitation, he swallowed it. After that, he immediately began to meditate. A titled Douluo had great control over their own bodies. Yin had to extract the poison before fusing it with the medicinal effects, but Douluo didn't need to do that. He could absorb it himself. Moreover, it would be better for him to absorb it himself than to fuse it directly into his body. The medicinal power would be more fully integrated with his body. Lin Feng silently nurtured the immortal grass at the side, and then ate in the original work. After Douluo was cured of the poison in his body by Tang San, he broke through to rank 92. Now that Lin Feng had given him concentrated medicinal power, it wasn't as simple as curing his poison. Lin Feng was quite curious. What would Douluo become after his transformation? The Jade Phosphorus Snake Emperor evolved? The Jade Phosphorus Dragon Emperor? Ha! Lin Feng was amused by his own thoughts. Come to think of it, Douluo's martial soul true body was very weak. 30 meters wasn't very big. This was a titled Douluo with a beast martial soul, and it was usually bigger than a tool martial soul. As for Tang Hao's clear sky hammer, when used by his martial soul true body, it could destroy the Pope's palace with a single hammer. Its size was at least 100 meters. Compared to the two, Douluo was really weak. However, Tang Hao was also considered a super genius. There weren't many people on the entire continent of Douluo who could compare to him. He created his own cultivation method, the Great Sumera Hammer. It could gather all the soul rings and soul power in his body and turn them into powerful strength. This idea was simply genius. It was only slightly inferior to Lin Feng's. Lin Feng remembered that when Tang Hao had just become a titled Daw, he could take on 3 people by himself and cause the Martial Soul Hall to suffer heavy losses. Later on, during the Continental Elite Academy tournament, he was only rank 95. However, he could take on 7 people by himself. Although it wasn't a real fight, he was still invincible. Lin Feng didn't have high hopes for Douluo to reach Tang Hao's level. However, he should at least be able to surpass Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo. As he thought about this, Douluo tried his best to absorb the medicinal power in his body. At this moment, the medicinal power was spreading in all directions. It was extremely violent. If not for the suppression of the ice fire Yong well, Douluo would have exploded. Right now, his speed of absorbing the medicinal power was still very fast. However, he still couldn't completely stop the medicinal power from spreading. However, this wasn't a big deal. Douluo could feel that the poison in his body was slowly being neutralized. The burning sensation was quickly disappearing. His soul power was also rapidly increasing. Half an hour later, Douluo's soul power suddenly shook and reached rank 92. Following that, his speed of absorbing the medicinal power became even faster. Furthermore, his martial soul was also slowly strengthening. Douluo only felt that his entire body was becoming stronger. 20 minutes later, Douluo reached rank 93. 15 minutes later, Douluo reached rank 94. His absorption speed was getting faster and faster. There wasn't much medicinal power left in his body. Suddenly, his martial soul's projection appeared automatically and started to change rapidly. The green color quickly faded and gradually turned green. Following that, the jade-scaled snake emperor's abdomen actually grew claws, and its head started to bulge. I just said it casually. It can't be, it can't really become a dragon, right? Lin Feng felt that his mouth was as if it had been blessed. Whatever he said was true. However, thinking about it carefully, the evolution of a snake-type soul beast was nothing more than transforming into a flood dragon. If Douluo's martial soul really evolved, it should be either a dragon or a flood dragon. If it was a mutation, then it was hard to say. While he was slightly surprised, Douluo's martial soul had completely evolved. His soul power had also reached rank 95. This was a dragon? No, it was a flood dragon. Although Douluo's martial soul had claws, the horns on its head hadn't completely grown out. This was considered a flood dragon. Thank you for your help, sir. Douluo is willing to follow your orders. Douluo jumped out of the ice fire Yin-Yang well and came in front of Lin Feng with a respectful expression. He actually thought of resisting, but on second thought, he would be stupid to do so. Whether he could win or not was another matter. Following a descendant of a god like Lin Feng would only bring him benefits. He wasn't stupid. Of course, he would make the right choice. Chapter 224. Not bad. You've reached rank 95, just as I expected. Your martial soul has also evolved into a flood dragon. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. I've never seen such an evolved martial soul before. Please give a name, Douluo said hurriedly. After hearing this, Lin Feng's lips curled into a smile. He didn't deserve his reputation as the king of naming. Show me your martial soul true body, Lin Feng said. He had to see if this martial soul was big or not. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to name it. Yes, Lord. As he spoke, Douluo's seventh soul ring shone. In the next second, he turned into a 50-meter-long green flood dragon. He floated in the air like a breeze. Previously, his jade-scaled snake emperor martial soul true body couldn't fly. However, after his martial soul evolved, he could fly. It felt very strong. Furthermore, his soul power undulations were much stronger than before. Lin Feng felt that Douluo's abilities had at least doubled. As he pondered, Lin Feng thought a good name. Then, let's call it Big Green Flood Dragon. Douluo had just turned back into his human form when he heard this unsophisticated name. Douluo didn't dare to refute. He hinted in a roundabout way. Lord, my martial soul had 4 names before. I can't have one less after the evolution, right? You're right. Let's call it Super Big Green Flood Dragon then. Lin Feng nodded in response. Lin Feng's naming logic was like this. If his martial soul true body was small, he would call it Little Green Flood Dragon. If it was big, he would call it Big Green Flood Dragon. Douluo wasn't satisfied now, so he added Super Big Green Flood Dragon. He should be satisfied now. Douluo was speechless. Lord, let's call it Big Green Flood Dragon. Douluo felt like crying. However, a name was just a name. The main thing was that his martial soul was powerful. This opportunity had greatly increased his abilities. He suddenly realized that he was really weak in the past. All right, Big Green Flood Dragon it is. Lin Feng used to like naming things for Marvel. Now his taste had changed. He liked names that started with the word big because it was convenient and simple. Sir, do you have any orders for me now? Having received such a huge benefit, Douluo was eager to show off. Lin Feng said, Give me your orders. Let me think. You can stay here for another half a month. We'll talk about it after half a month. This immortal herb didn't give much experience now. Even if he ate it for half a month, he probably wouldn't get more than 2 million experience. Lin Feng was prepared to wait until tomorrow to see how much experience he would gain if he fought with Douluo again. If it wasn't enough, he would send him to the Shrek Academy as a gatekeeper. If it was more, he would continue to farm experience. Yes, My lord. Douluo felt a little uncomfortable, but he didn't say anything. Let's go back. Lin Feng jumped into the hot spring. Douluo cupped his fists and took his leave. After absorbing the medicinal power, Douluo needed to stabilize his strength. After leaving the valley, he quickly found a place to meditate. On the other hand, Lin Feng went back to Heavendo City after bathing for a while. A few days ago, Grandmaster was fiddling with the creation of a soul tool in the academy. He wanted to create a soul tool that could increase one's cultivation speed by a small amount. Today should be the day that the master would finish crafting it. After all, this thing wasn't complicated. It was just a modification of a soul tool speaker. Grandmaster completed it very quickly. When Lin Feng arrived at the academy, Grandmaster was testing the modified soul tool. Since he couldn't find Lin Feng, Grandmaster asked Tang San to test it with his voice. In the end, he realized that this thing had no effect at all. Or rather, it did, but the effect was so low that it was negligible. Feng, you came at the right time. Teacher has created this soul tool, but the effect is very weak. After seeing Lin Feng, Tang San immediately welcomed him. Little Feng, come and take a look. What do you think of this soul tool I modified? Grandmaster's face was slightly haggard, and his beard had grown out. Evidently, he was very tired these few days. He probably hadn't slept much. Lin Feng didn't say anything. He gave Grandmaster a small ball of life energy. Grandmaster's physical condition improved a lot, and his spiritual power also recovered a little. However, this was only temporary. Grandmaster still needed deep sleep to recover his spiritual power. This was just a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. At this moment, Lin Feng started to observe the soul tool. Lin Feng didn't study soul tools in detail. However, he still knew the principle behind them. The principle behind soul tools was to use soul power to carve specific patterns, and then use soul power to activate the soul tool. Speaking of which, this soul tool had great potential. If Lin Feng thoroughly studied a soul skill and carved it on a soul tool, others would be able to unleash the soul skill he carved. Wait, aren't these things equivalent to talismans in the Xinxiao world? In that case, formations, spiritual tools, immortal pills, and so on could all be imitated on the continent of Douluo. However, these things couldn't be done just by talking about it. The materials of the soul tool, the size and strength of the carved patterns, and the soul power amplification device of the soul tool, etc. These were all things that required a lot of time to study. The main thing was that these things were useless to him. Lin Feng wasn't stupid enough to study them. However, Grandmaster was still more suitable. He could let him study them in the future. The soul tool that Grandmaster modified this time was very lousy. The efficiency of the soul power source wasn't utilized, and the recording of the voice conversion efficiency was extremely low. No wonder Tang San's shouts had no effect on this device. After Lin Feng started, he immediately modified it. After understanding the principles behind the soul tool, Lin Feng quickly modified the soul power carvings according to his strong control of soul power. Following that, he took out the soul power source from the soul tool and said, I've modified the conversion of the soul tool, so there shouldn't be any problems. However, the main problem is still this soul power source. This kind of shouts requires a lot of soul power. If you use this kind of inferior soul stone, it won't be very useful. You need to use a better quality one. Soul stones were a very special kind of ore. They didn't have any special effects, but they could store soul power. According to the quality of the soul stone, the amount and quality of soul power it could store were different. Soul stones had many uses. They were useful for soul tools and some soul power weapons. There were even some high-quality soul stones that could store extremely pure soul power that could be used to recover in battle. The inferior soul stone could only withstand the soul power of a soul grandmaster. Furthermore, the amount was very small. This kind of soul stone couldn't unleash the full effect of the shouts. This isn't a problem. Just by one. Tang San chuckled. Chapter 225. The price of a soul stone had a lot to do with its quality. It was divided into 5 grades. First grade ones were inferior and could be bought for a few silver coins, but second grade ones cost several gold coins. Third grade ones cost over 100 gold coins. 4th grade ones cost over 1,000, and 5th grade ones cost over 10,000 gold coins. Only 4th grade and above soul stones could be used to recover one's soul power. In order to display the full effect of this shout, one would need at least a 3rd grade soul stone, which was worth over 100 gold coins. This wasn't a small sum for ordinary soul masters, but it was nothing in front of Lin Feng and the others. Xiao San, go buy it. 3rd grade ones are fine. Lin Feng said. High-quality soul stones couldn't be bought just because one said so. 4th grade ones sometimes had to be pre-ordered, and 5th grade ones generally couldn't be found on the market. If one wanted to buy one, they had to go to the auction house to buy it. Okay, Feng go. Tang Xin nodded and immediately went out. At the same time, Lin Feng was discussing with the master about their training. There were still 5 months left until the Continental Academy Elite Tournament, and the Grandmaster had arranged it for them. In the first 4 months, they would attend classes in school and cultivate properly. A few Soul Elders would try to break through to Soul Ancestor, and Dai Mubai would try to break through to Soul King before the finals. When the time came, he would take them to the setting sun forest to hunt for their 4th soul ring. In the first 4 months, besides cultivating, they would also have to practice soul power control and soul skills. After that, in the month before the tournament, they would have to undergo surprise training. They would have to properly examine the results of these 4 months of hard work, and then strengthen their existing foundation. Because they had to hide their strength, they couldn't go to the Great Soul Arena for fear of other participating academies finding out about their fighting style. After all, Soul Ancestors were just the dividing line between the strong and the weak. If one's martial soul and soul skills were targeted, it would still be a little troublesome. In the Grandmaster's eyes, even if they went to the Great Soul Arena, the effect wouldn't be very big. Soul Ancestors and Soul Ancestors couldn't be lumped together. Other people's Soul Ancestors were just Soul Ancestors. However, their Soul Ancestors might be beaten up by Lin Feng in various ways, but their strength was still very strong. If they were to encounter a team of early-stage Soul Kings, they would be able to defeat them. This was especially true for Xiao San. Grandmaster reckoned that he would be able to kill an ordinary Soul King by himself. In fact, Grandmaster's estimation was correct. If Tang San met a Soul King alone in the wilderness, he would definitely be the one to die. In the original novel, when Tang San had been a rank 37 Soul Elder, he had been able to defeat Tinin, who was a Soul King, even if he went all out. Now that he was a Soul Ancestor, he was much stronger than he was in the original work. It wouldn't be excessive for him to be able to kill a Soul King. He might even be able to contend against a Soul Emperor. Geniuses had the ability to challenge those of a higher level. They were extremely powerful. As for Wall Hanger, it was omnipotent. Master, this is Shrek Academy's class. Xiao San and the others shouldn't attend it. It's a waste of time. It's better for them to suffer a little more in the last half of the year and train properly. In Lin Feng's opinion, the things taught in this academy were actually useless. They were like trash. Furthermore, Dai Mubai and the others weren't cut out for learning. Every time Tang San or Lin Feng discovered a soul beast in the Soul Beast Forest and explained it to them, the others would look envious. They were envious? It wasn't as if the academy didn't teach them. Some grandmasters had even said it several times. However, Dai Mubai and the others seemed to have returned all the knowledge to their teachers. They still didn't know anything when they encountered a soul beast. They should still be shocked. They were really stupid. Grandmaster's expression was slightly strange. He coughed and said, "The things taught by the academy's teachers are still useful. Furthermore, they have to pay attention to the balance of tension and relaxation during training. If they train blindly, it won't do them any good." Grandmaster also knew about Dai Mubai and the others' performance, but as a teacher, he still had to be stubborn in the end when Lin Feng said that the things they taught were useless. Lin Feng chuckled. "I don't mean for them to keep training. I mean for them to use the time in class to meditate or find someone to fight to increase their actual combat experience. Why waste your time in the classroom? And to be honest, the theoretical things that soul masters should learn are already learned in the elementary academy. Intermediate and advanced academies mainly teach actual combat. What's the use of theoretical classes? Grandmaster, Lin Feng actually had something he didn't say. The Soul Master education in the continent of Douluo was really too abnormal. If there was more to learn, it would be reasonable to set up 3 grades of Soul Master Academy: elementary, middle, and advanced. The reason why there were elementary, middle, high, and university in his previous life was because there were many subjects: language, mathematics, foreign languages, biology, physics, chemistry, geography, politics, history, art, physical education, science, and so on. If one wanted to become a promising youth in the new society, one would have to spend more than 10 years learning. But to be honest, the understanding of soul masters in the continent of Douluo was really at a very primitive stage. There was very little knowledge, and many things had not been developed. The things to learn were very limited, but to set up such a long teaching time was simply too strange. Grandmaster, let's gather everyone later and rearrange the training plan. Grandmaster didn't refute and nodded. However, he quickly said, Ning Rongrong returned to the 7 Treasures Glazed sect a few days ago after stabilizing her strength. Her martial soul is quite special, and this time it evolved into the 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda. I think this matter will alarm her father, the sect master of the 7 Treasures Glazed sect, Ning Fengji. That's fine. It doesn't matter if Rongrong is missing. It's the same to tell the others first, Lin Feng said casually. Grandmaster. The point was that Ning Rongrong wasn't there? That was the sect master of the 7 Treasures Glazed sect, Ning Fengji. He was one of the most powerful people on the continent. Just a stomp of his foot could cause a huge earthquake in the world of soul masters. You don't even have any reaction when such a person mentions it? Only now did Grandmaster realize that Lin Feng's way of thinking wasn't novel, but completely different from normal people. At this moment, Sam returned with the Soul Stone. Lin Feng took the Soul Stone and installed it. After that, he recorded it with his own voice and played it with the Soul Tool. Following a loud scream, the few people in the laboratory felt the soul power in their bodies fluctuate. The effect is not bad. Although it's not completely restored, it's about 70% effective. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. It was only a simple modification, and there was no rigorous testing. The materials used were also very ordinary. It was already very good that such a high efficiency was achieved. In the future, when Xiao San and the rest cultivate, they can cultivate near this soul tool. Although the sound is a little loud, with the method of controlling soul power, they could be completely immune to such effects. In fact, according to Lin Feng's thoughts, this thing should be the infrasonic type, and there shouldn't be any noise. However, that was just a thought. It was already very good that they could achieve such success. Chapter 226. In the laboratory, the master's heart was filled with a sense of accomplishment. Although the main credit for this thing was Lin Feng's, it was still something that he had painstakingly modified over the past few days. He was very happy that this thing was useful. I didn't expect that soul tools could be used in such a way. It's really magical. The master sighed with emotion. Yes, who knows? You might even be able to engrave your own soul skills on it and let others use their soul power to activate it. Lin Feng casually said. Hearing this, the master was suddenly stunned. Then he slapped his thigh. Yes, why didn't I think of this? Xiao Feng, your idea is really great. As long as the materials can withstand it and solve the problem of engraving soul skills, even low-level soul masters can unleash extremely powerful strength. This idea is too incredible. Looking at the master's shocked expression, Lin Feng smiled and didn't say anything. On the surface, he said this casually, but in reality, he was deliberately reminding him. As long as the master continued to research according to his idea, there should be results in a few years or more. At the side, Tang San's eyes also lit up. Feng had a good idea. If he engraved some special soul skills on his hidden weapons, wouldn't every hidden weapon be equivalent to a different soul skill? Even if the soul skills wouldn't be too strong due to the materials, as long as there were enough hidden weapons, the increase in strength would definitely be huge. In the past, Tang San could only think of dipping his hidden weapons in poison. At this moment, Lin Feng's words had opened the door to a new world for him. Fengge, your idea is too awesome. The things you create can't be called soul tools anymore. They can be called soul skill weapons. Tang San's eyes were filled with excitement. Soul tools, why were they called that? It was because this kind of instrument could channel soul power and transform it into some strange things, such as light bulbs, sound, and so on. The more offensive ones were like cannons. However, these were all too weak. Lin Feng's idea was to directly inscribe soul skills into soul tools. In fact, it wasn't limited to soul tools. He could even inscribe them on hidden weapons. Xiao San's brain isn't bad, but a soul skill is just a form of expression. It's mainly powered by soul power and can be called a soul power weapon. Lin Feng continued, soul skills can be engraved on soul tools and weapons. You can even engrave them on your hidden weapons. However, this technology is still in the hypothetical stage. Even though it's feasible, it'll take a few years of research before you can fully grasp this technology. Lin Feng's so-called complete mastery of this technique meant that he could create something on a universal scale. This way, others could follow this universal template and imprint all soul skills on items. Perhaps this wouldn't be able to achieve the best results, but at least it could be used. If he tried and corrected it on the basis, he would be able to achieve better results. And this was the use of the universal template. Tang San nodded, expressing his agreement. However, he didn't want to fully grasp this technology. He only wanted to develop a few soul skills. For example, Zhu Zhuqing's first soul skill, Netherworld Stab. If he grasped the principle behind it, he could attach it to the arrowhead of the Zhuge repeating crossbow. The arrow would have a piercing effect. In the past, it might not be able to pierce through a Soul King, but now that it had an effect, even a Soul King would be killed if they didn't use soul skills. There was also Ma Hongjuan's fire-breathing soul skill, which could be made into a burning arrow. Furthermore, it wasn't an ordinary flame. Fatty's soul skill's flames were very difficult to extinguish. Even his spiderweb binding could be attached to hidden weapons. When thrown out, it could directly bind people. There's also poison on it, so it could easily knock people out. Actually, the most important point wasn't how powerful these soul skills were. The main point was if they were truly researched. As long as he had a soul stone with him when using it, the soul skill wouldn't consume any soul power. Not consuming any soul power was already very terrifying. Furthermore, it had an unexpected effect. If a blue-silver grass soul master suddenly breathed fire or threw lightning, wouldn't the enemy be stunned? This idea was very crazy. Tang San decided to experiment with it in the future. If he could produce results, it would be very terrifying. At this moment, Grandmaster Tang's train of thought was opened up again, and he exclaimed in delight, "These engraved soul skills can be used repeatedly. Perhaps there will be wear and tear, but if they're used on weapons, then the rules of battle between soul masters will be completely changed." Grandmaster wasn't exaggerating. If this kind of thing was really developed, then it would be epic-making. It would have a greater impact than all of Lin Feng's previous ideas. This was an item that could allow a normal person to contend against a soul master. In theory, as long as the material was good enough and the soul stone had enough energy, a normal person wouldn't be affected by the aftershocks of a titled Douluo's soul skill. Of course, an overly ideal situation generally didn't exist. After all, a titled Douluo's soul skill was too powerful. The aftershocks could easily kill a soul ancestor. In a compromise, it shouldn't be a problem for a normal person to use a Soul King soul skill. Think about it. If this kind of weapon was mass-produced and had a large reserve of soul stones, then a group of normal people would be an army of Soul Kings. As for a Soul Emperor, it shouldn't be a problem for him to control a titled Douluo's soul weapon. As long as it could be developed, it would be enough to change the situation of the entire continent. Just thinking about the influence of this thing made Grandmaster so excited that he couldn't control himself. He couldn't wait to research it immediately. This kind of research required a large amount of manpower, resources, and money. Their academy had hundreds of students and dozens of teachers. Whether it was providing soul skills or researching together, it was enough. Materials could be bought with money, but money wasn't enough. This kind of large-scale research burned the most money. Their Shrek Academy was really poor. After all, they were all commoners. The tuition fees weren't high, so where would they get the money? Unless tall, rich, and handsome Lin Feng was willing to sponsor them. Don't think about it for the time being. This is something that consumes a lot of time. Grandmaster, the most important thing for you now is to train Xiao San and the others. Don't put the cart before the horse. Lin Feng looked at Grandmaster and Tang San's fervent gazes and felt that he had led them astray. Hearing this, Grandmaster tilted his head and thought, "That's right, I can't put the cart before the horse. But if I don't research it, my heart will itch." After thinking about it, he said, "I don't plan to research the complete technology. I'm going to make a prototype first to see the situation. This won't get in the way." Grandmaster's idea was the same as Tang San's. He wanted to use a single soul skill to make a prototype. Although this would also consume time, it wouldn't be like a large-scale research that required years or decades. It might be possible to produce results in a few months. Although this kind of thing couldn't be mass-produced and consumed a lot of money, it was still a prototype. It was mainly useful as a reference. Chapter 227. Tang San took the opportunity to voice his thoughts. He and the Grandmaster hit it off immediately and expressed that they would definitely research a prototype. Lin Feng didn't say anything. If they wanted to research it, then so be it. He believed that the two of them wouldn't be so stupid as to waste their time on it. This modified soul tool can increase the speed of meditation. Grandmaster, since you made it, you should name it, Lin Feng said with a smile. Little Feng, it's mainly due to your efforts. You should name it, the Grandmaster evaded. At this moment, Tang San hurriedly said, Teacher, you should name it. Feng can't name it. Who are you saying can't name it? I'll name it Old Man. Lin Feng finalized. I've decided. This soul tool will be called Aguai 1. Tang San, the Grandmaster. For some reason, the Grandmaster suddenly regretted what he had just said. However, since Lin Feng had already said the name, they couldn't say anything else. Speaking of which, this method of exerting strength was obtained from a soul tool called Aguai. Aguai 1 could be considered to be worthy of its name. But then again, this Aguai soul beast seemed to have been named by Lin Feng himself. They felt that something was wrong. All right, Xiao San, go and call the others over. The Grandmaster has a training plan to announce. Lin Feng interrupted their strange gazes. Oh. Tang San immediately ran out to run errands. Very quickly, the few people other than Ning Rongrong were called over. The Grandmaster discussed it with Lin Feng, and then they didn't have to attend the theory class like the other students. However, the class time wasn't for them to play. The Grandmaster specially changed all the theory classes to actual combat classes. They didn't have to learn theory, but they had to practice every day in actual combat. The Grandmaster also said that Lin Feng would fight with them once a week like before. Tang San's goal was very simple. Before the start of the Continental Elite Soul Master Academy tournament, he had lasted 3 minutes against Lin Feng. Lin Feng still felt a little uncomfortable after being checkmated by the master. After all, he didn't agree to be a sparring partner before. But after thinking about it, it didn't matter. As for sparring, he didn't need to come personally. He could just send a clone over when the time came. After talking about the training, Lin Feng left again. Everyone was already used to the fact that Lin Feng often stayed outside. Although they were puzzled, they did not rashly ask. After all, everyone had secrets. If Lin Feng wanted to tell them, he would definitely find time to do so. Right, there's something I need to mention here. When Lin Feng left, Zhu Zhuqing came over to tell him that she had been running laps every day for the past few days and that her punishment was over. In response, Lin Feng nodded affirmatively, indicating that she would continue to work hard. But then again, Lin Feng felt that Zhu Zhuqing seemed to have changed a little. In the past, her face was very cold, and people couldn't see through her thoughts. But when they spoke just now, he realized that she was smiling and talking more. He felt as if a burden had been lifted from his heart. Lin Feng's guess was really accurate. Zhu Zhuqing had always been pressured by her own strength. She was much, much weaker than her sister. In the future, the struggle in the family would easily take her life. But ever since she ate that immortal herb, her martial soul had evolved, and her soul power had increased by so much. This was an earth-shattering change. Perhaps she still couldn't compare to her sister, who was already a soul ancestor, but Zhu Zhuqing was confident that she would be able to surpass her sister in this elite Soul Master Academy tournament. This confidence brought about a change in her mentality. She felt that she should take the initiative to fight for it, which was why she was smiling when she spoke to Lin Feng. But it was a pity that Lin Feng was thinking about the ice-fire Yin-Yang well and the immortal herbs nearby. He didn't pay much attention to Zhu Zhuqing's changes. Soon, Lin Feng arrived near the ice-fire Yin-Yang well and took the opportunity to soak in the hot spring. Although the feeling of increasing his EXP seemed boring, it was actually very satisfying. It was like the money in your account was constantly increasing. Even if you just looked at it, you would still feel very satisfied and wouldn't feel bored at all. And just as Lin Feng was silently watching his experience increase, at the entrance of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sex Conference Hall, Ning Rongrong walked in with a smile on her face. I heard that Princess Rongrong has returned from studying at the Shrek Academy and even brought us a big surprise. Come and give me a hug. I missed you so much. Ning Fengji immediately came forward and said with a smile, "In my opinion, Princess Rongrong's return is the biggest surprise." Hearing this, Ning Rongrong was very happy. But soon, she snorted and easily avoided Ning Fengji's hug. Then, she put her hands on her hips and said angrily, "You know that I'm at the Shrek Academy, but you haven't come to see me. I think you can't wait for me to not come back." In fact, Ning Rongrong already knew that Ning Fengji had found out about her in Shrek Academy when she was still in the academy. After all, she was the princess of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect. How could they let her come out alone? But Ning Fengji didn't come to see her even once. This was what made Ning Rongrong angry. "How can I not come to see my little princess? I'm busy. I was just about to find time to see you." Ning Fengji was secretly shocked. He was a rank 70 soul sage, after all. His speed was still very fast, but Ning Rongrong was able to dodge his attack so easily. She had improved a lot. At this moment, Ning Rongrong didn't care about him anymore. She looked directly at Kinduru Ashin, Douluo, and Gu Rong. "Grandpa Jian, Grandpa Gu, Rongrong, I've missed you so much." Ning Rongrong rushed over happily. These two titled soul sages used to dote on Ning Rongrong the most. Ning Rongrong was very close to them. Just like Ning Fengji, they were all her family. After venting her longing, Ning Rongrong's anger finally subsided. Ning Fengji also got what he wanted and gave this girl a big hug. After a while, Ning Fengji asked, "Rongrong, didn't you say that you were going to give us a big surprise? Tell us, what is it?" "I'll tell you about the big surprise later. Let me show you the small surprise first." Ning Rongrong kept them in suspense. Then, she raised her hand and an exquisite repeating crossbow appeared in her hand. "Daddy, this is a hidden weapon. It's called the Zhuge repeating crossbow. Ordinary people can use it. It can directly kill soul ancestors. And this, it's called insinuation. This is called silent sleeve arrow. This is called..." Ning Rongrong took out a few hidden weapons in one go. Her face was full of excitement. These hidden weapons were very powerful. They were even dipped in poison. According to Tang San, if the timing was right, they could even kill soul kings. Chapter 228. Are these things really as magical as you say? Ning Fengji curiously grabbed the Zhuge repeating crossbow. Dusty Heart and Gu Rong were also slightly surprised. They grabbed the concealed weapons and played with them in their hands. They had never seen the concealed weapons that Ning Rongrong had mentioned before. Could ordinary people kill soul ancestors? If this was true and could be mass-produced, the safety of their Seven Treasures Glazed Sect Soul Masters will be greatly guaranteed in the future. Of course, when we participated in the Soul Duel, we had actual combat practice. A team of soul ancestors can't block these concealed weapons at all. Ning Rongrong proudly said. If you don't believe me, you can try it. It's very powerful. Unless a defense-type soul ancestor uses a soul skill, they can't block it at all. Shrek's 7 monsters had a strong collective sense of honor. Although it was made by Tang San, Ning Rongrong was very proud of it, as if it was her own when she explained it. Oh, Ning Fengji raised his eyebrows after looking at it. It's quite exquisite. I just don't know if it's as powerful as you say. It's very exquisite. The person who made it must be a genius. Dusty Heart and Gu Rong sighed with emotion. Of course, third brother is a super blacksmith. When he was in the academy, he often hammered and hammered. These concealed weapons aren't his best. There's something even more powerful. Ning Rongrong sighed with emotion. Then, she said, as for its power, we'll know after testing it. As she spoke, she looked at Dusty Heart and Gu Rong. Grandpa Jian and Grandpa Gu are so powerful. Won't you be able to test the power of these concealed weapons by testing it out? Rongrong, let me do it. Your Grandpa Jian's body isn't as strong as mine. I'm afraid he won't be able to block it. Gu Rong chuckled. Dusty Heart's martial spirit was the 7 killing sword, a martial spirit with strong attack power, but its defense was weak. Gu Rong was different. His martial spirit was the Bone Dragon, a mutated beast martial spirit. His body was much stronger than Dusty Heart's. Of course, the so-called strong and weak here were only judged by titled Douluo. No matter how weak Dusty Heart was, he was still stronger than Soul Douluo. His rank 96 soul force was no joke. You old bones should just step aside. What do I have to fear from a mere concealed weapon? Being ridiculed by Gu Rong, Dusty Heart immediately fumed with rage. The 2 old fellows were a pair of enemies in the 7 Treasures Glaze sect. At the same time, they were also close friends. They would always make fun of each other. Grandpa Jian then, Ning Rongrong said with a smile. Dusty Heart quickly arrived in front of Ning Rongrong with an indifferent look on his face. A concealed weapon that could kill a soul ancestor was nothing to a title battle pet warrior like Douluo. Their soul power alone could kill a soul king. Dusty Heart could easily block this Zhuge repeating crossbow. Grandpa Jian, you have to be careful. With that, Ning Rongrong pulled the trigger on the silent sleeve arrow on her wrist. In an instant, 3 black shadows silently shot out in a triangular formation towards Dusty Heart's chest. Dusty Heart's eyes flashed with a sharp light. In the next second, he didn't seem to move at all, but the 3 arrows broke into 6 pieces and fell to the ground. Sword Aura. Dusty Heart had used this formless sword aura just now, which was why he was able to slice the arrows apart in an instant. However, this wasn't the end. Ning Rongrong raised her left hand, and the Zhuge repeating crossbow appeared in her hand. She then pulled the trigger. Following that, she waved her right hand, and a cloud of poison mist flew towards Dusty Heart's face. This scene caused Ning Fengji's eyes to light up. Not to mention the power of the concealed weapon, Ning Rongrong's reaction and speed made Ning Fengji very surprised. This girl was definitely a soul exalt, otherwise she wouldn't be so fast. She went from rank 26 to a soul exalt in half a year. This Shrek Academy had some skill. Just as he was thinking about this, the Zhuge repeating crossbow shot out 16 short arrows, and a cloud of poison mist flew towards Dusty Heart. However, the latter didn't panic at all. He waved his right hand, and the poison mist scattered into the sky. The 16 short arrows were all cut in half and fell to the ground. Grandpa Jian is so strong, Ning Rongrong said with a smile. She actually had a few more concealed weapons on her body, but it was just a test. She just had to display the characteristics of each weapon. Dusty Heart's face was full of smiles. He looked at Gu Rong with a spirited expression, as if to say, "Did you hear that? Rongrong praised me for being strong." "She didn't praise you, old man." Gu Rong couldn't say anything and could only stare blankly. At this moment, Dusty Heart said with a smile, "This concealed weapon's power is not bad. The 3 hidden arrows at the beginning should be able to cause great damage to a soul exalt. The crossbow at the end should be a little stronger. It should be just as Rongrong said." Ning Fengji's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly asked, "Rongrong, Who did you say made these concealed weapons? His name is Tang San. He's the third brother of Shrek's 7 monsters. Ning Rongrong hurriedly said. Tang San? Ning Fengji had never heard of this name before. He had only heard of someone called Lin Feng from Dusty Heart. However, he still smiled and said, what a good name. He must be a genius. It's him. Dusty Heart smiled and said, I remember that kid. He's the one with the bright eyes. However, I was only paying attention to Lin Feng at the time. Dusty Heart looked at Ning Rongrong and teased. Rongrong, what happened between you and Lin Feng? Did you succeed? Now, there's a third brother. Who will you choose between the two of them? Ning Rongrong's face turned red, and she hurriedly said, Grandpa Jian, you're talking nonsense again. I said last time that there's nothing between me and Fengge. Third brother already has someone in his heart. For some reason, Ning Rongrong thought back to the time when she received the lovesick Heartsausage approval. She clearly liked Lin Feng so much, so why did that immortal herb only sway slightly? And Zhu Zhuqing and Xiao Wu were both stronger than her. Seeing Ning Rongrong's dazed eyes, Ning Fengji didn't ask any more questions. Instead, he smiled and said, Rongrong, didn't you say there's a big surprise? Hurry up and show us what the big surprise is. In fact, these concealed weapons were already a big surprise. Since Ning Rongrong had brought them back to show them, it meant that they could be mass-produced. Otherwise, she wouldn't have brought them back. Grandpa Jian, what rank am I now? Ning Rongrong asked with a smile. Dusty Heart narrowed his eyes and covered Ning Rongrong with his soul power. Soon, he exclaimed, Rongrong is rank 38. A Soul Master's soul power rank was something that not even a titled battle pet warrior like Douluo would be able to tell if he didn't use his senses. No one had checked Ning Rongrong's rank before, so it was only now that they realized that Ning Rongrong was rank 38. What? How is that possible? 12 ranks in half a year. Ning Fengji and Gu Rong were stunned. Yes, I was rank 37, but after stabilizing my soul power a few days ago, I broke through to rank 38. Ning Rongrong smiled. Ning Rongrong was very satisfied to see the expressions on their faces. Chapter 229. In about 8 months, Ning Rongrong's soul power had increased by 12 ranks. After hearing this news, Ning Fengji and the others weren't pleasantly surprised, but frightened. It was impossible to increase by 12 ranks in such a short period of time, unless they used some kind of evil method, the kind that exhausted one's potential. The three of them looked at each other and saw the worry in each other's eyes. At the same time, their eyes flashed with a cold light. If it was really as they thought, and the Shrek Academy used this kind of method on Ning Rongrong, it was cutting off her future. Perhaps she could increase by a lot in a short period of time, but after that, her progress would be extremely slow. Perhaps she would only be able to become a Soul Emperor for the rest of her life. The gap between a Soul Sage and a Soul Emperor was too big, and Ning Fengji couldn't accept this. However, this was only a guess for now. Ning Fengji said seriously, Rongrong, tell me in detail, how did you increase your soul power to such a high rank? Dusty Heart also said, yes, Rongrong, you increased your strength so quickly. Don't use some kind of evil method. Ning Rongrong smiled mysteriously and said, what kind of evil method is it? It's an immortal herb with no side effects, and it can strengthen one's foundation. Half a month ago, I was only rank 28, but after eating this immortal herb, I directly reached rank 30. After absorbing the soul ring, I broke through to rank 37, then stabilized my soul power, and broke through to rank 38 a few days ago. Let me tell you, this immortal herb has increased my cultivation speed by a lot. I estimate that I can reach rank 40 in at most 3 months, or even less. This. Ning Fengji and the others were stunned. When they heard the first few sentences, they doubted the authenticity of this immortal herb, but in the last few sentences, Ning Rongrong said that she could reach rank 40 in at most 3 months. If this was true, then this wasn't some kind of evil method. It was already very impressive for an evil method to increase one's soul power by so many ranks in one go. Even an evil method wouldn't be able to do it so quickly. Seeing that everyone was in a daze, Ning Rongrong suddenly summoned her martial soul. Look carefully. How many floors does my pagoda have? Dusty Heart's eyes were sharp, and he immediately saw Ning Rongrong's martial soul. He couldn't help but exclaim, 9 levels and 9 colors. It's the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. What? 9 treasures glazed pagoda? Ning Fengji exclaimed. On the other hand, Gu Rong, who was standing at the side, was more composed. However, she was still extremely shocked. It was important to know that the 7 treasures glazed pagoda was too powerful, and it had a natural flaw. It could only obtain 7 soul rings, and it would never be able to break through to become a soul Douluo. But according to legend, if a soul cultivator had a special opportunity, there was still a chance for the 7 treasures glazed pagoda to evolve into the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. Such a soul master would have a solid foundation and strong aptitude. Once he reached the level of a titled Douluo, he would be able to become a titled soul master. He would even have the title of the god of support. With a set of skills, he could even increase a person's strength by several times. After seeing this scene, Ning Fengji no longer had to worry about Ning Rongrong. The 9 treasures glazed pagoda represented that Ning Rongrong's aptitude and martial soul had been strengthened. This couldn't be some kind of evil method. Ning Fengji sighed with emotion as he relaxed. The 9 treasures glazed pagoda. This was his lifelong dream. He didn't expect it to be realized by his daughter. It was too sudden. How is it? Do you believe me now? Ning Rongrong put away the pagoda with a proud expression. The reason why Ning Rongrong came back was because she wanted to tell her father about the hidden weapon. This was a huge matter that concerned the sect. On the other hand, she wanted her elders to be proud of her, just like a child. It was just like in her previous life when she got 100 points in the exam, she would go home and throw the paper to her parents. After that, her parents would praise her. That sense of accomplishment was simply bursting. I believe you, of course I believe you. My little princess has become a genius. She's the hope of the sect. Ning Fengji couldn't suppress the smile on his face. After that, he asked, don't tell me that this immortal herb was also brought back by your third brother, and he specially gave it to you? This kind of genius is a perfect match for you. Tomorrow, we have to make a trip to the Shrek Academy and meet your third brother. No, this immortal herb was brought back by Fenggu and third brother. They gave it to Shrek's 7 monsters and the teachers. Also, third brother already has Xiao Wu. Ning Rongrong hurriedly said, you mean this Fenggu doesn't have one yet? Ning Fengji laughed heartily and said, then tomorrow I'll help you take a good look at this Lin Feng. He was able to block Qin Douluo's kick. Not only was his strength outstanding, but he was also able to share such a great opportunity with his classmates and teachers. With this kind of breadth of mind, he would definitely be an excellent son-in-law. Actually, Ning Fengji still had some doubts in his heart. For example, did Lin Feng have more of this immortal herb? Also, would Tang San sell the stronger hidden weapons in his hands? However, these things couldn't be asked from Ning Rongrong. He decided that tomorrow he would bring Dusty Heart to the Shrek Academy to pay a visit. Father, Fenggu is often outside. We can't find him in the academy. He usually only comes back once a week, Ning Rongrong said. It's fine. At most, we'll just wait a few days. Ning Fengji was now extremely interested in this Lin Feng. With Bon Duo guarding the 7 treasures glazed sect, he and Dusty Heart could go to Heaven Do City for a few days. It wouldn't be a problem. Not to mention the 7 treasures glazed sect, Ning Fengji said that he would come. At this moment, in the Crown Prince's palace. Originally, Xue Qinghe was prepared to have some high-profile interactions with the Shrek Academy in the city. However, man proposes, God disposes. A few days ago, when he was meditating, he sensed that he might break through to rank 70, so he hurriedly went into seclusion to cultivate. Today, he had broken through to rank 70. At this time, he naturally had to put aside the Shrek Academy matter. Going to the setting sun forest to hunt soul beasts was the most important thing. With that thought, he immediately gathered the 3 spirit Douluo in the martial spirit hall and headed to the setting sun forest. The night passed quietly. The next day, Ning Fengji and the others were already on their way to Heavendo City. At the ice fire Enyang Well, Lin Feng woke up from the hot spring. After casually eating a few immortal herbs, he lay back down in the hot spring. His avatar, Thanos, went to find Douluo directly. After a day of meditation, Douluo's strength had completely stabilized. He was now a true rank 95 titled Douluo. According to his own estimates, he would be able to break through to rank 96 in 2 years. One had to know that after a title Douluo reached rank 95, every increase in rank was no longer as simple as relying on soul power cultivation. It mainly depended on one's comprehension. Soul power was only supplementary. For example, Dusty Heart's soul power might have reached rank 96 in a few years. However, due to insufficient comprehension, it took him more than 10 years to reach rank 96. Chapter 230. Many people were stuck at the threshold of rank 95. Wasn't the same for Chrysanthemum Douluo, Ghost Douluo, and Bone Douluo. Their soul power had clearly reached the peak of rank 95, but they couldn't break through to rank 96. Douluo felt that he could break through to rank 96 in 2 years. It seemed that the medicinal power had helped him a lot, not only in terms of soul power, but also in terms of his understanding of poison. Because of the deepening of his understanding, he had the possibility of breaking through to rank 96. However, Lin Feng didn't care about these things. What he cared about was the level of his experience baby. When Douluo was rank 91 yesterday, the system gave him 5 million experience points. Now that he was rank 95, the increase in his strength was too great. His experience points should increase by a lot. With this kind of expectation, Lin Feng and Douluo fought. At rank 95, Douluo was much stronger than before, especially his martial soul true body. Whether it was defense, strength, or speed, all of them had been greatly improved. For a moment, he was actually able to exchange blows with Lin Feng's avatar. Not bad, you've improved. Lin Feng expressed his approval of Douluo's strength. It's all thanks to you, sir, Douluo hurriedly said. He clearly knew his own strength. It was impossible for him to win against Lin Feng. His opponent's strength was too terrifying. He was able to exchange blows with Lin Feng because Lin Feng was holding back. Douluo remembered very clearly that Lin Feng had a soul skill that could summon avatars. However, he hadn't used this skill even once. It was enough to show that he hadn't used his full strength at all. The stronger one was, the bigger the commotion of the battle. However, with the poison array blocking, ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense the soul power fluctuations inside. Coincidentally, not far from the poison array, Xueqing'e happened to be returning from the setting sun forest. Yesterday, their luck was pretty good. After half a day, they found a suitable soul beast. Then, after waiting for half the night, he hunted down this 50,000-year dark night elf with the help of the 3-soul Douluo. After absorbing the soul ring, they prepared to return to Heavendo City. However, they didn't walk for long before they suddenly sensed an enormous soul power fluctuation. Your Highness, there should be a titled battle pet warrior as powerful as Douluo over there, someone said. Xueqing'e's eyes flickered for a moment before he said, calling Luan over. I want to take a look at the situation. Xueqing'e believed that this fluctuation of soul power could not have come from a low-level titled battle pet warrior, like Douluo. Xueqing'e believed that this soul power was similar to that of Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo. Xueqing'e had the angel martial soul and was a soul sage. However, he could unleash strength on par with Soul Douluo through his soul bones and soul skills. However, with just the 4 souls Douluo, if they were to encounter such an expert in the past, it would not be safe. As for Yingluan, although he wasn't strong in a head-on battle, his martial soul was special, and his concealment, assassination, and escape were all top-notch. After he came over, Xueqing'e asked him to bring him to investigate. This way, they wouldn't be discovered. Furthermore, these 2 people were fighting, so they definitely weren't on the same side. There were 4 soul masters with the same combat strength as Soul Douluo and 1 title battle pet warrior. Even if they were discovered, it wouldn't be a big problem. There was no need to be afraid at all. Yes, Your Highness. After one of the Soul Douluo received the order, he immediately went to Heaven-Do City to call England. Shui Qinghe and the other 2 Soul Douluo waited very cautiously. They didn't make any moves that would lead to their deaths. Those who were able to work as spies in Heaven-Do City wouldn't have lived for so long if they were stupid. Lin Feng was completely unaware of this. At this moment, he was getting more and more excited as he fought with Douluo. In fact, Douluo couldn't unleash his full strength when fighting with Lin Feng because his strongest attack was poison. Lin Feng happened to counter his poison, so it was very difficult for him. He could only fight Lin Feng head-on. Even so, Douluo was much more resilient than before. In the past, the battle would usually last about 10 minutes. Now, Lin Feng was fighting with gusto. They had been fighting for half an hour, and he could still hold on. However, Douluo was at his limit. He suddenly shouted, "Sir, I can't take it anymore." As soon as he finished speaking, Douluo quickly retreated and reverted to his true form. His martial soul had become stronger, and so had his strength. However, using his martial soul true form consumed much more soul power than before. After half an hour, his soul power was almost completely depleted. He had no choice but to stop. Lin Feng didn't say anything. He just silently stopped. At this moment, the system's notification sounded. Ding! After a long battle, the host has defeated the level 95 title battle pet warrior, Douluo. Your combat experience has increased. You have received 215,275,48 experience points. Slightly more than 20 million experience points. Not bad at all. It was more or less what Lin Feng had expected. If it had been a newbie, it would have been even more. After all, Douluo was an experienced baby that he had farmed for so long. It was normal for him to lose some experience points. Just as Lin Feng was rejoicing, Douluo suddenly looked to the left and said in surprise, "Sir, it seems like someone has barged in." Douluo was a little surprised. That feeling was very weak, and he felt like it was an illusion. However, he still said it. Fortunately, Douluo's strength had increased greatly, allowing him to sense the situation through the poison array. Otherwise, with his previous strength, he would not have been able to sense it at all. "Don't worry about it." Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. He didn't care at all. Oh, Douluo was confused, but he didn't say anything. He meditated on the spot to recover his soul power. In reality, Lin Feng's true form had already come out of the ice fire Yin Yang well. He was sneaking his way over. The principle of Douluo's poison array was connected to his soul power. Even he could only sense a trace of the situation. Clearly, the other party wasn't weak. It should be a big fish. At this time, Douluo had just brought Shui Qinghe through the poison array. He didn't think too much about it. He was very confident in his concealment skills and rushed over to Douluo's side. The battle over there had stopped. It seemed that the victor had been decided. He wanted to see if he could get some benefits from it. But at the same time, Engluan was still a little confused. That poison array felt like Douluo's work. Who else could set up such a huge poison array apart from him? However, the 2 waves of soul power undulations were very strong, and even he was secretly shocked. It couldn't be Douluo fighting with someone else. Could it be that there was a powerful titled Douluo living in seclusion in the setting sun forest? And then he was found by an enemy? Just as he was thinking about this, Engluan brought Shui Qinghe to a large tree. Through the cracks, the 2 of them could see the traces of a battle not far away. There was a guy in white clothes and a white mask on his face in the open space. And why was he looking at the 2 of them? Just as they were wondering, a faint voice came from behind them. "I've caught you." Chapter 231. A faint shout caused Shui Qinghe and Engluan's hair to stand on end. As they summoned their martial souls, they also revealed their soul rings. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. Shui Qinghe had 7 soul rings. With the angel martial soul attached to his body, he floated in the air with 4 wings spread out behind his back. He looked abnormally holy. The angel martial soul was extremely terrifying. It was one of the strongest martial souls among the top-grade martial souls, and was only a step away from God rank. It was similar to the blue lightning tyrant dragon. As one's strength increased, their martial soul would change. The angel martial soul's change was to increase the number of wings on its back. As a soul sage, Xueqinghe had 4 wings on his back and was extremely powerful. Beside him, Yingluan had 9 soul rings. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. His martial soul was a round wheel that existed between illusion and reality. Darkness and darkness intertwined, appearing very strange. The reason why the two of them had such a big reaction was mainly because Lin Feng's shout was too close to them. It sounded like it was right next to their ears. Under such circumstances, if they were a step slower and the other party had evil intentions and was strong enough, the two of them might very well die. In fact, the two of them were overthinking it. It was too difficult for Lin Feng to assassinate Tidal Douluo. The reason why he could follow the two of them without being discovered was mainly because he used the 1,000 trickery ruler to conceal his aura. Under such circumstances, he could use some soul skills with weak soul power fluctuations. However, he couldn't use those powerful soul skills secretly. Tidal Douluo would be able to detect and react the moment the soul power fluctuations appeared. Therefore, Lin Feng couldn't assassinate Tidal Douluo at the moment. But why assassinate? He could just do it openly. One was a soul sage, and the other was a Tidal Douluo. This Tidal Douluo didn't seem to be very strong. This guy definitely couldn't escape today. These two guys were quite cautious. They actually copied him and wore a mask. However, this was futile. Lin Feng knew who this guy was just by looking at the angel martial soul, Qianren Xue. As for the other Tidal battle pet warrior, Douluo, who was holding a wheel, Lin Feng didn't know him. He guessed that he was an elder of the martial spirit palace who didn't appear in the original work. After all, the martial spirit palace was a force that could be found all over the continent. There were many powerful warriors hiding in the dark. It would be a piece of cake for the martial spirit palace to hide some Tidal battle pet warriors. Lin Feng's original plan was to capture the two of them and use Douluo as an experienced baby while he killed the soul sage. However, this soul sage was Qianren Xue, and the Tidal Douluo was from the martial spirit hall. This made things a little difficult. If the two of them were together, it would have a huge impact on the Heaven Do Empire. The Heaven Do imperial family would go crazy, and the martial spirit hall would also take action, especially the martial spirit palace. Qianren Xue was the granddaughter of the 1,000 Dao Flow. If something happened to Qianren Xue, this kind of old fellow would very likely come out. That was the peerless level 99 Douluo, a demigod existence. Lin Feng had no other choice but to run. It was his bad luck to meet the two of them. He couldn't touch them, and it wasn't appropriate to capture them. If he let them go, there would be a big problem. It was uncomfortable. However, he couldn't care less. He had to capture them first. With that thought, Lin Feng was ready to make a move. However, Yingluan suddenly shouted, "Wait, we're just passing by. We don't mean any harm." As he shouted, Yingluan's 8th soul skill was ready to be used. As long as Lin Feng made a move, he would immediately take Xueqinghe away. Xueqinghe, who was at the side, was shocked. He looked behind and then looked in front. Why were the two of them wearing the same mask? Both of them were Thanos, and both of them were equally unfathomable. Could it be that his previous guess was wrong? Both father and son were Tidal Douluo, or that black tiger Ah Fu was his great-grandson. Were they Thanos' grandfather and father? Although Xueqinghe felt that the guess in his heart was outrageous, he could only make such a guess. Otherwise, they were the same person. Douluo had risen from a soul emperor to a Tidal Douluo in a short 6 years. Furthermore, he had an avatar of the same strength. Wasn't this even more outrageous? No harm? Ha! With a chuckle, Lin Feng's avatar and main body rushed forward at the same time. Douluo, who was behind the avatar, woke up from his meditation. He recognized the identity of the newcomer, Yingluan Douluo from the martial soul hall. As for the other soul sage, he didn't know, but he guessed that he was also from the martial soul hall. Speaking of which, he and Yingluan could be considered acquaintances. However, they were only acquaintances. This time, he actually dared to spy on them. He was courting death. Thinking of this, he also followed and blocked the escape route of the two. At the same time, after seeing Lin Feng use the avatar skill, he also understood. Sure enough, Lin Feng didn't use his full strength when fighting with him. He only used his full strength when facing the enemy. Your Majesty Thanos, I hope we can talk, Xueqinghe hurriedly said. He originally thought that Lin Feng would stop after being called out. However, this was only a matter of course. Lin Feng didn't stop at all. The thousand trickery ruler instantly turned into two large nets that enveloped the two. At the same time, Lin Feng and his avatar first released dozens of shadow bindings, then used the power of lightning to strike the two. He controlled his strength very well. The avatar and main body's targets were different, so the size of the lightning was also different. It was just enough to paralyze and stun people without killing them. Yingluan and Xueqinghe both felt the danger of life and death. Yingluan didn't hesitate anymore. First, he released his seventh soul ring, and the martial soul in his hand expanded greatly. Then, before Lin Feng's attack arrived, his eighth soul ring lit up. A dark fog spread out from Yingluan's body and enveloped Xueqinghe. The two turned into shadows, easily dodging these attacks, and ran outside. Sir, Yingluan's eighth soul skill is very strange. He can enter a special state where his speed is very fast. Ordinary attacks are useless against him. Douluo reminded from the side. Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled without the slightest trace of worry. What a coincidence, he also knew this soul skill. This guy's soul skill was similar to his nether body, but the effect was much weaker. As for why he could bring someone along, it shouldn't be the effect of the soul skill itself, but related to Yingluan's martial soul. That black fog was the power of his martial soul. Yingluan's eighth soul skill could increase his speed, but he was still a little lacking in front of Lin Feng. Fifth soul skill, nether body. Lin Feng also turned into a shadow and entered the gap between nothingness and reality. Then, under Yingluan's horrified gaze, Lin Feng quickly caught up and grabbed at the two of them. How is this possible? Yingluan's face was full of disbelief. His seventh soul skill was extremely special. Ever since he obtained it, this was the first time he was caught by someone. Chapter 232. Under a large tree, Xueqinghe and Yingluan were trapped like dumplings and placed there casually. Earlier, Yingluan didn't expect Lin Feng to have a soul skill similar to his, so he ran forward with Xueqinghe. When Lin Feng caught up, it was too late for him to react. Lin Feng took advantage of this opportunity to attack. He placed his hands on the two of them, and his soul power surged wildly. Endless spider silk spread out from his palms, instantly wrapping the two of them tightly. The spider silk contained a large amount of paralyzing poison, and the two of them quickly fainted. At the same time, about 20% of their strength was temporarily extracted by Lin Feng. This was only a variant of Lin Feng's second soul skill. Through extremely strong soul power control, Lin Feng could increase the original strength of a soul skill. At the same time, he could change some of its manifestations without changing its essence. In fact, there was a more standard term for this on the Douluo continent: self-created soul skills. His method of using his hands to release the binding spiderweb was a self-created soul skill. The essence of self-created soul skills was to change the soul power undulations of one's own soul skill to create a brand new soul skill. However, these soul skills had to be compatible with one's own martial soul or soul skill. Only then would they have an extremely strong effect. Otherwise, the power would be extremely weak or even impossible to use. For example, Tang San's fourth soul skill, Blue Silver Cage. If Xiao Wu knew the operating principle of this soul skill, would she be able to use it? Of course not. Even if she could use it, its power would be pitifully weak, not even comparable to a soul scholar's attack. Furthermore, it would consume a lot of soul power. However, if a soul master with the Ghost King Vine or the sky, azure vine martial soul knew and learned it, the meaning would be different. They would be able to use their own soul power. Although they wouldn't have soul rings, they would be able to unleash about 30% of their strength due to their similar martial souls. If they had similar martial souls and similar soul skills, they might be able to unleash half of their strength. He didn't have such a soul skill, but he was able to borrow the operating principles of other people's soul skills to create a soul skill that suited his martial soul. This was already quite good. However, Lin Feng was different. He had the 1,000 trickery ruler, which allowed him to perfectly imitate other people's martial souls. As long as he grasped the principles behind their soul skills, he could perfectly imitate other people's strength. Of course, this was only limited to those whose soul power was lower than his clones. Currently, Lin Feng could create avatars up to rank 79. This way, as long as it was a soul master below Soul Douluo's level, he could imitate them after studying the principles behind their soul skills and martial souls. However, a skill like imitation was useless against Lin Feng's strength. It was far inferior to his own soul skills and could only be used to oppress noobs. If he wanted to increase his strength, he could only create soul skills according to his martial soul and soul rings, just like Tang Hao's Great Summer Hammer and Disorder, Splitting Wind Hammer technique. There were still many things that could be learned on the Douluo continent. Lin Feng was able to possess a fighting strength around rank 97 with rank 82 soul power. Although 80% of the reason was because his martial soul was too strong and his soul rings were too old, the other 20% was because of the knowledge he had learned about martial souls, soul power control, soul skill fluctuations, and so on. Legend had it that Poseidon, the god of the sea, had united the oceans of the Douluo continent to become a god. Lin Feng felt that if he could create a divine skill that only gods could use, he could also become a god. This was a path to becoming a god, and it was a completely new path. Perhaps there were already people on the Douluo continent who had begun to study this, but it was probably just casual research. There was no systematic research at all. Lin Feng didn't think too much about this. Currently, he was still thinking about how to deal with these two guys. After paralyzing these two people just now, the experience points given by the Soul Sage were negligible, only around 100,000. However, this rank 93 Shadow Wheel gave him 18 million experience points. With so much experience points and a big experience baby, it was simply too tempting. Now that Lin Feng had caught him, he naturally didn't want to let him go. Currently, there were only a few people that Lin Feng was afraid of in the Martial Spirit Hall. Demigod Qian Daolu, Pope Bibi Dong, and a few of the higher-ranked consecrators. If he wanted to lure these people out, he would probably have to make a move on Xue Qinghe and ruin the Martial Spirit Hall's plan. Xiaoying's shadow wheeled Douluo, a guy who didn't even appear in the original work, probably wasn't too important. It would be good to catch him and farm experience for a period of time. It would be even better if he lured Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo from the Martial Spirit Hall to investigate. Wouldn't it be great to catch all three of them to farm experience? If he caught 3 title Douluo at once, it would definitely be a big deal. Even the Pope would be alarmed. At this time, Lin Feng would take advantage of the time difference. He would only farm experience for a few days before releasing the 3, and Thanos would disappear for a period of time. If he did this a few times, wouldn't his experience points shoot up like a rocket? Thinking of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. At this time, Dugabo said, "Sir, this title Douluo's code name is Ingluan. He's a secret guard of the Martial Spirit Hall in the Heaven Do Martial Spirit Hall. As for the other one, I don't know, but his martial spirit is very powerful. He should be an important person in the Martial Spirit Hall." Lin Feng didn't say anything. After pondering for a while, he dissolved the spider webs on the 2 and then grabbed Xue Qinghe. "Keep an eye on this guy." With that, Lin Feng grabbed Xue Qinghe and walked outside. At this time, it was Lin Feng's avatars that were moving around. His main body had already returned to the Ice-Fire Yin-Yang well to soak in the hot spring. Soaking in the hot spring would give experience points every second. Although it wasn't much, it was still more than 1 million in a day. While soaking in the hot spring and eating the immortal herbs, Lin Feng could endure it for the sake of the experience points. At the edge of the poison array, Lin Feng woke Xue Qinghe up and threw him on the ground. He didn't even take off his mask. Xue Qinghe woke up instantly from the pain. He quickly released his martial spirit and soul rings, then floated in the air and looked at Lin Feng vigilantly. "Why didn't you kill me?" Xue Qinghe's voice was cold and puzzled. The last thing he remembered was Lin Feng catching up to him in England. Then he lost consciousness. Now that he woke up, Yingluan was gone. Only he and Lin Feng were at the edge of the poison array. It was obvious that Yingluan had lost and might have even been killed. But why wasn't he dead? Also, the mask on his face didn't show any signs of being taken off. Why was that? He was puzzled. "I've already detained your friend. If you want to save him, call for help." Lin Feng didn't answer the question. Instead, he said this. After that, he didn't care about Xue Qinghe anymore and turned to leave. Chapter 233. Lin Feng had nothing to say to Qian Renxue, who was pretending to be Xue Qinghe. Although Lin Feng was surprised that Xue Qinghe went to the Heaven Do Academy, it didn't pique his curiosity. Since Qian Renxue was Bibi Dong's daughter, she should be able to mobilize Ghost Douluo and Chrysanthemum Douluo. Lin Feng believed that he could run away as long as the Thousand Dao School didn't come in person. Thinking about how his experience points would skyrocket, Lin Feng's heart was filled with joy. Meanwhile, at the edge of the poison array, Xue Qinghe was puzzled. Just like how Douluo didn't understand why Lin Feng would pick fights with him every day, Xue Qinghe had no idea what Lin Feng's intentions were. He didn't want money or treasures. He just said that he was going to save Yingluan. Wasn't he an idiot? Why didn't he even take off his mask? Also, when did Douluo become so powerful? Why did he get involved with Thanos again? There were also the two Thanos and the fight. All these questions lingered in Xue Qinghe's mind. There was only one thing on his mind, which was to find Thanos and ask him about it. But he suddenly stopped after taking 2 steps, because he sensed that the 3-souled Douluo who were waiting outside were running over. They must have been attracted by him when he summoned his martial soul at the edge of the poison formation. Xue Qinghe didn't go in. Instead, he walked out of the poison formation. "Your Highness!" The 3 Soul Kings greeted Xue Qinghe with respect. They didn't see Yingluan. The older one asked, "Your Highness, why didn't Elder Yingluan come out?" Xue Qinghe's eyes flickered. He found something and went to investigate. He won't be back for a while. There's another titled Douluo in there. It's very dangerous. Let's leave. To put it nicely, Yingluan Douluo was there to protect Xue Qinghe. In fact, they were here to monitor him to prevent him from having disloyalty or making mistakes, which would affect the plan of the Martial Spirit Palace. All these years, Xue Qinghe had been constantly monitored, and he had long grown tired of it. Otherwise, he would not have thought of secretly taking Thanos as his subordinate. Now that Yingluan had been captured, it was actually a good thing. Xue Qinghe decided to keep this news a secret for now. On one hand, Lin Feng's behavior was strange. Asking him to bring people to save Yingluan felt too foolish. It might be a trap. On the other hand, without Shadow Wheel surveillance, he could still develop in secret for a period of time and recruit a few powerful soul masters. Right, that black tiger Afu. Xue Qinghe decided to make a trip to the Shrek Academy right away. He had to ask this guy what his relationship with Thanos was. In the past, Xue Qinghe had wanted to take it slow and slowly rope them in. However, after the incident just now, Xue Qinghe had walked on the line between life and death. He had already come to a realization. Speaking of which, this was the first time Xue Qinghe had experienced such a close call. He looked very calm on the surface, but he was actually very nervous. This time, he could not wait any longer. He had to go to the Shrek Academy as soon as he returned to Heaven Do City. Yes, the 3 of them did not suspect anything and immediately escorted Xue Qinghe back to Heaven Do City. As for Lin Feng, after returning, he immediately awakened Yingluan. He didn't interrogate him. He simply told Yingluan not to run around and to stay here. Of course, this guy didn't listen and wanted to run away. However, Lin Feng was not worried at all. He had Douluo keep an eye on him. Douluo's method of keeping an eye on someone was very simple. He directly poisoned him, and it was a very serious poison. It was very difficult to poison a titled Douluo to death in a battle. The only way to do so was to fight to the death. However, Ingluan was very weak at the moment, and he was under someone's control, so Douluo easily planted a lethal poison in his body. The principle of this poison was very simple. As long as he was within a certain range of Douluo, it would automatically detonate. If he didn't receive treatment within half a minute, Ingluan would be dead for sure. Under such circumstances, Ingluan didn't dare to run. He could only stay here and be an experienced baby. Douluo was also very happy. He was originally here alone, but now that he had someone to accompany him, it felt pretty good. In fact, Douluo was still quite free. Lin Feng didn't restrict him, but he had nothing to do, so he usually just stayed here. However, in near future, Douluo might take his granddaughter to hunt a soul beast. When that time came, Ingluan would have the opportunity to go out and get some fresh air. Shrek Academy's main entrance. Ning Fengji, Dusty Heart, and Ning Rongrong stood there. Looking at the new signboard, Ning Fengji sighed with emotion. Not bad. The Shrek Academy has changed to a new campus. It looks much more imposing. Of course, our Shrek Academy's goal is to become the champion of the continent's elite academy tournament. Once we become a champion, our academy will be renovated. Ning Rongrong said proudly. Once they became the champion, their Shrek Academy would become very rich. They would receive innumerable financial support from the nobles. If your Shrek 7 monsters are really as strong as you say, then your chances of becoming the champion are very high. Ning Fengji nodded. The champions of the previous tournaments were usually top-notch soul ancestors. Sometimes 1 or 2 soul kings would pop out. With Tang San's talent, they would definitely be soul ancestors when the tournament started. When the time came, they would grow even further in the tournament and definitely have the qualifications to become the champion. It was really unimaginable. The average age of this group of people was only 13. When the finals came, they would probably only be 14. This was simply a miracle. At this moment, Ning Fengji couldn't wait to see this group of geniuses, especially Tang San and Lin Feng. Just like that, Ning Rongrong guided the 3 of them to the Shrek Academy's field. A teacher who was walking on the road noticed the situation and immediately went to report to the dean. At this moment, Ning Rongrong discovered Zhu Zhuqing running on the field. Take Shi, did Feng Gu punish you again? You're not done yet? She first greeted him happily, then asked doubtfully. No, I ran on my own. Zhu Zhuqing was very happy to see Ning Rongrong return. You're really hard-working, Ning Rongrong praised. At this moment, Ning Fengji and Dusty Heart walked over while chatting. Dusty Heart saw Zhu Zhuqing's strength and approximate age. He even sensed a little of his top-notch martial soul's aura. This was what titled Douluo could see when he carefully examined a low-ranked soul master. After he told Ning Fengji, he couldn't help but sigh. She's really a genius. This girl is even younger than Rongrong. I didn't expect her soul power to reach rank 38. It's really incredible. Yeah, Ning Fengji also sighed. The main thing was that this level of genius was considered normal among the 7 of them. The 3 siblings, Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Lin Feng, were only half a year older than her, but they were already soul ancestors. How terrifying! Chapter 234. At this moment, Ning Fengji couldn't wait to bring all these people into the 7 Treasures Glazed sect. This time, he came here with such thoughts. Even if he couldn't win them over for the time being, he wanted to show the good side of the 7 Treasures Glazed sect and extend an olive branch to them. Just as Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing were chatting, Flanders and Zhao Wuji came out. The Grandmaster had been busy for the past few days and ignored everyone. After finishing the things yesterday, he was dragged out to play by Lu Erlong early in the morning. At this time, only Flanders and Zhao Wuji were in charge of the school. After seeing Ning Fengji and Dusty Heart, the two's faces changed, and they immediately ran over. Greetings, Sect Master Ning and His Highness Dusty Heart. The 2 cupped their hands respectfully. The 7 Treasures Glazed sect had 2 titled Douluo, and with Ning Fengji's supportability, It could be regarded as four-titled Douluo. With the clear sky sect in seclusion, it was not an exaggeration to say that this kind of force was the #1 sect in the world. Flanders gave the two enough respect. Dean Flanders, to be able to cultivate such genius students, your teaching ability is really amazing. Ning Fengji said with a smile. Dusty Heart nodded slightly to the side, which could be considered as a greeting. An expert should have the demeanor of an expert. This time, Dusty Heart came here just to be a background character and not speak if he could. Sect Master Ning is overpraising. This is not my credit. This group of monsters is very powerful, and with the Grandmaster's teaching, they are so outstanding. Flanders still had a clear idea in his heart. Speaking of the Grandmaster, why don't I see him? Ning Fengji came here this time. In addition to Lin Feng and Tang San, the one he wanted to see the most was the Grandmaster. He's not in the school for the time being. Flanders stretched out his hand. It's not convenient to be in the field. The two of you, please come here. Let's go to the private room to talk. Of course, the academy had a special reception hall. At this moment, Flanders led the two of them to the reception hall. On the field, Ning Rongrong knew the purpose of her father's visit. She needed to get Tang San and the others to go to the living room together. After Lin Feng announced the change in the teaching schedule yesterday, from today onwards, the mornings would be free time and the afternoons and evenings would be used for cultivation. After that, they would take a few days out of the week for actual combat training. Although it was free time in the morning, none of them went out to play or slack off. Zhu Zhuqing was jogging while the others were either training or sparring. In any case, they were constantly strengthening themselves, and none of them slacked off. Lin Feng had told them that when you were not working hard, others were working hard. When real danger came, the enemy would not show mercy because of your age. Being weak was a sin. In fact, these words were unintentionally boasted by Lin Feng. In his previous life, there were too many such words on the internet. Sometimes, Lin Feng would bring them out and say them. He didn't expect that this would have such a motivational effect on Tang San and the others. In any case, they were full of energy every day. Ning Rongrong found them in the meditation room. This place was newly built today. If it wasn't for Zhu Zhuqing leading the way, she wouldn't have known there was such a place. In the room, there was a strange speaker placed in the corner that kept shouting. Tang San and the others were meditating nearby. On the way here, Zhu Zhuqing had already told Ning Rongrong what happened yesterday. However, after seeing this speaker, she was still surprised. This thing, Fengge had mentioned it, but she didn't expect it to really be developed. It was a pity that it couldn't be spread in a short period of time. This was because ordinary low-level soul masters couldn't meditate in such a noisy environment if they didn't learn how to control their soul power. At this moment, this meditation room was exclusive to Tang San and the others, as well as a few soul sages. This was because soul sages had very strong control over their soul power and were immune to that kind of noise. Self-created soul skills were mostly created by soul masters above the soul sage rank. Therefore, it was always surprising when low-level soul masters created their own soul skills. Ning Rongrong's arrival made everyone happy. Then, under her lead, Shrek's 7 monsters walked into the reception room. After knowing that Dusty Heart was also here, Xiao Wu didn't panic at all. This was because she had an immortal herb on her. Lin Feng had specially brought it for her when he came back. This way, as long as Tidal Daw didn't examine her closely, he wouldn't be able to discover her true body. Soon, the 7 of them arrived at the reception room. From the moment they met, Ning Fengji's face was filled with a warm smile, and he praised several people during the conversation. After a while of pleasantries, he expressed his purpose for coming. Shrek Academy is as I imagined. It is worthy of being an academy that can cultivate such geniuses. This time, I came mainly to see Tang San and Lin Feng. These two are often mentioned by Rongrong. They must be extremely outstanding young talents. I came to see them and talk to them about something. Tang San quickly stepped forward and said, Sect Master Ning, Fengge just left yesterday. It will probably take a few days for him to come back. What's Sect Master Ning? We're all good classmates of Rongrong. Just call me Uncle Ning. Ning Fengji's face was full of a friendly smile. Also, we came here with great sincerity. In order to see the super monster Lin Feng that Rong mentioned, I was prepared to wait a few days. Hearing this, everyone was surprised by how much Ning Fengji valued Lin Feng. The dignified sect master of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect had brought along a titled battle pet warrior, Douluo, and said that he would wait a few days for a person. This was too much face. Xiao Feng is really something to be valued by a sect master Ning. It's just that we don't know where he is. Otherwise, I would have gone and asked him to come back in person. Flanders was surprised and helpless at the same time. Ever since he came to Heaven Do City, Lin Feng had become mysterious. He was running around outside every day. The main reason was that they didn't know where he was. Also, Lin Feng hadn't gone through the admission procedures for so long. Officially, he wasn't a student of the Shrek Academy yet. It's okay. Just wait a few days. Ning Fengji smiled. Tang-san, I like the hidden weapons that Rong brought back. Our Seven Treasures Glazed sect want to establish a partnership with you and mass-produce these hidden weapons. He knew that Tang-san was the only one who could produce these hidden weapons. Therefore, he had contacted a blacksmith master before he came. As long as Tang-san could sell the technology to them, they could produce the hidden weapons right away. Uncle Ning, how do you want to cooperate? Tang-san asked. Let's talk about this in private later. This time, I brought you gifts from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. With that, 6 small tokens appeared in Ning Fengji's hand. He waved his hand, and the tokens flew to the 6 people except for Ning Rong. This is called the Seven Treasures Glazed token. If you meet a soul master of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect on the continent, show this token to him, and he will help you once.